Good evening, everybody. I'm Derek Michaud, and it's time to go flush in the pocket, presented by Brunswick Bowling yet again. And man, this is going to be, I don't know how I feel about this one. I'm going to be tag teamed. We got Joe Hutchinson, 5-time PBA titleist.
Four. Excuse me, Derek. Four, not five. I give a finger to have five, but I've got four.
Okay. He doesn't want 5 titles. I gave him one, but he doesn't.
No.
And we have the gentleman who finished. We're going to talk about this. He finished second to Earl Anthony when Earl Anthony went over $1 million in 1982. Charlie Tapp. How are you, sir? How are you both gentlemen doing?
I'm doing fine. Good to see my boy Hutch. I haven't seen him for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be awesome. So we unfortunately lost. The bowling world lost, unfortunately, Dave Ulm recently, and it was before this podcast, and he was important to the bowling world. I mean, what do you guys know about him? What are your thoughts of him, and how loss is this?
He came out. Dave came out on tour when I was there. He came out with a bunch of guys from Florida. The Guns of Nazarone. He came out with Ron Nazaro. He came out with Bob Belmonte. Remember him, Charlie?
Yep, sure.
Yep. And he came out with, remember Ryan Boyd?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Ryan was a riot squad. Ryan passed. Ryan died.
Wow.
One of the guys from Florida told me that. I mean, but Dave was a good player. I mean, you had to understand the equipment at the time. He was pretty straight player. He could get in a little bit, but he was a good bowler. Made some top 24s. I don't know that he ever made a show. I know he didn't win any PBA tournaments, but there's a lot of guys that Charlie and I know that were very good bowlers that never won a PBA tournament. But that being said, they were still terrific bowlers. And Dave was on the national championship team in 1995 or something. At Nationals. I saw John Welstein had a post about he was on the USBC national champion team one year. David was good. He was a good guy to be around. There was never any trouble with David.
Good. Yeah, our thoughts go out to his friends, family, and just tough loss for the bowling world. So how did you both get started bowling? Start whoever you want. This is your podcast. Let's go. Let's do this.
Okay, let's say this. Let's not go back to going to the movies and the movies are closed. That's crazy. How did I meet Charlie Tapp? Right, we're bowling in Milwaukee. I don't know Charlie from anything. I'm crossing behind you, and you'll remember this. And one game, I came up to you and I said, "How does the pair compare to the last pair?" Now, at that time, we didn't know, but if you had kids, you could lose your firstborn because that was a penalty. Now you bowl and there's a ball rep in the back and you go to a pair and the guy gives you a ball and he says, make a 6 and 3 left and throw this.
Okay.
We couldn't even talk to each other about the lanes.
Mm-hmm.
I struck up a conversation with Charlie and it was, I can't tell you, it was absolutely magic that we meshed the way we did. And I spent a lot of good years with Charlie. He's a funny man. And he's a terrific bowler. And you're talking about Earl Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, Charlie, the year before you bowled real good in Toledo. And me and Bakes and a couple guys, we made a prediction that next year you would win there.
Yeah.
We said that, and you got to the championship match.
Yeah.
Yeah, we said that. Charlie was coming into his own, and the Toledo played to your strength. Yeah. And I mean, you gave him all. You gave him all he wanted. I mean, God bless Earl. I mean, he threw the shot in the 10th. He got the wall shot to shut you out, but you had a shot to put him out. You had him on the ropes.
Yeah.
You had him on the ropes. And it was no embarrassment to lose to Earl.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
No, that's for sure.
Right.
That was funny. I was thinking when we were talking about doing this, we was thinking back about how, Hutch and I got to be friends. And I mean, it was just kind of a happenstance type of thing, and we started talking and then we both had this stupid sense of humor. And,
Yes.
you know, the sarcastic stuff. And I mean, but never, you know, I mean, we were never malicious to anybody or anything like that. But we had no problem busting everybody's balls. And they loved it. You know, they loved it. And so we just kept going. We're doing it to this day, for crying out loud.
And Derek, I'll tell you something. When you're born with red hair, you learn to take abuse. When I was a kid, it was tough. You know, the kids dancing around you in the playground, you know, redhead, made a fart and bust a bed, all that other horse shit. But I mean, yeah. So I became very good verbally to back people off. And when I was a kid, I was in a lot of fights. You know, you get in fights because I'll see after. As a matter of fact, I got chipped tooth and I got a blood blister here for the last probably 55 years, right over here. You know, for a punch in the face. So that's, you know, hey, but Charlie and I were great. We picked the NBA, we picked the PBA team to represent to go in the NBA that time.
Yeah.
Charlie Tapp, I know that's you. I'm telling Goose.
So there's a comment in the chat. Go ahead.
We were in LA.
Anaheim.
Yeah, Anaheim, yep. And it was, oh shit. Well, I think that was the first day we had got together.
Yeah.
And so we had went out to dinner and all this other stuff, and the basketball was on. So we're watching the Lakers, and we started putting together this basketball team of all these guys that, you know, the fat guys and skinny guys, and just, you know, and we were laughing like hell. And it's 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we get a rap on the door. All right, Charlie Tapp, I know you're in there. And the guy's all pissed off.
He ate up all the rabbit squad the next morning. He said, if you stop, I got to get my sleep. Jesus Christ.
And then we get a call from the desk.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, listen, we're going to get a complaint you're having a party in there. We're like, no, there's only two of us. There's only two of us in here. So then somebody came up from the front desk, and they looked at it. It's just us two idiots, you know, watching basketball. And we goes, there's no party. Oh. Yeah. Oh shit, that was so funny.
We had.
That was insane.
So there's a comment in the chat, and this is not a PG podcast, but I think somebody knows you. I hope this is somebody who knows you. Otherwise, I'm going to be a little upset.
Jeez, I'm hoping it ain't that guy that I owe that quarter from Space Invaders in Kansas City.
Let's see if your record. So this is like how you guys met, and this is what this guy says. I don't know if you guys know who that is.
Is this Warren Nelson?
I don't know.
Yeah, it could be just about anybody.
Yeah.
Right. So Charlie, let me ask you a question. Are you surprised that I know who you are?
No. No, that you know who I am?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. The only reason I ask is because I know that I obviously I was born in 81. You know, the year before you and Earl bowled. And when you came into the chat when I was doing the trivia contest with Johnny and Mike and Justin, I knew exactly who you were because I watched Bowling the Perfect Game and they showed a clip of the you and Earl match.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean that was what really kind of pisses me off is that I don't have one of those Leroy Neiman paintings because I'm in that painting. I mean, I've got the color forms. Remember color forms?
Yeah.
You think I got that one, but I don't have like a real one. They're worth a shit ton of money.
Better believe it.
Yeah. So with me in it.
Yeah. You're a bowler. You can't touch that kind of money.
No.
If you were a golfer, it'd be in the Louvre.
So who coached you guys in bowling?
Well, actually, what's really funny is the guy that started me bowling. His daughter and I went to school together for first grade on, and so after he graduated, I hadn't seen her at all. So anyway, 2 years ago, before the senior tour bowled in the Villages, I get a message from her, and she said, "Well, I see the bowling's coming to the Villages, blah blah blah," and my husband and I live in the Villages. So I thought, oh shit, I get to see her. I haven't seen her in 53 years, or whatever it is. It's crazy. So anyway, I'm staying with Tommy Kress, which in and of itself is another whole show. But I'm staying with Tommy Kress, and I get to his house, and I goes, Tommy, where is this? Where is this in the Villages? Out his door to the corner, you take a right, you go in the next corner, take a right, take a left, and her house is right there. I could walk to her house from Tommy Kress's house, and I haven't seen this woman in 54 years. And her dad is the one that started me bowling.
Okay.
And this would have been, oh my God, 1958 or 1959.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been many a year, but he's the one that started me. And then little by little, there were a couple of guys at home that I trusted as far as coaching and stuff goes. And it was, and it's a similar situation, like, what the hell you go, guys saying, well, why are you going out on tour and all this other stuff? And so I never really knew, I never really knew anything till I met this guy, him and Tommy Baker. And we were going to go to the baseball game in Houston, and I was ready to go home. Mm-hmm. And I was on a called my ex-wife, or it was my wife at the time, obviously. And Hutch says, how much money you got at home? I said, $200. I said, and he goes, $200. I said, yeah, $200. He goes, Charlie, what the hell is the difference of having $200 or no money? I said, there is no difference. He said, get the money. And he said, do you know anybody at home that you get some money from? And I said, well, yeah. And I called this guy that ever told me if I was in a pinch to call him. And he owned a bar, and he kind of had a little gambling thing in the back room type of deal and everything. So I called him, and he goes, how much you need? I said, how about $1,000? So he said, yeah. And my wife went up there, got the check, sent me the money. And we were going to go to the baseball game, and it was sold out because it was J.R. Richards, and I can't remember who else was going to pitch, And we got there, and it sold out. So we're walking back, and the bowling center was basically across the street from the stadium.
Yep.
It was called Stadium Bowl.
Yep.
And Hutch, Hutch says, well, Charlie, why don't we go, practice, see if we can figure some stuff out, And so I practiced then, worked on a few things, made the rabbit. And for Christ's sake, next thing you know, I made the top 24. And the position round game, I left 2 solid 8s to Mr. Show. Right, else I'd have made the show. And then the next tournament, that tournament I finished 6th, and the next one I finished 7th.
Yeah, then next one was Waukegan.
Next one was Waukegan. And so all of a sudden, I went from doing nothing to all of a sudden I made 2 top 10s.
Tell them what the adjustment was, Charlie.
Well, there was actually, it really wasn't too much a timing thing. It was I just opened up my hand.
Mm-hmm. And you bumped the ball up in your push away.
Right, yeah.
He was going here, and Derek, all he did was it sort of just bumped it up, and it got to the swing just a little bit later. And Charlie was always there. Charlie was real smooth. He was always there at the same time as the ball. Mm-hmm. You got to be there that much ahead of the ball.
Mm-hmm. And
he got there that much ahead of the ball. He was always in the pocket. He couldn't knock him down.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he starts knocking him down. Yeah. And now it's, Katie bar the door. Here we go. And it's, and he has a beautiful arm swing, long swing, never any problem with his arm, his elbows locked. Great balance, miserable, no good runs. Yeah. I could tell you how I learned how to bowl by the seat of my pants.
Wow, there you go.
I got a surgery on my hand. I got 2 surgeries on my elbow. Got a surgery on my shoulder. Charlie, got any surgeries in your right arm?
No, my right.
There you go.
Wrist, yeah.
There you go. No one ever taught me how to bowl. I just picked it up and started throwing it, and I had a peculiar way of throwing it. Mm-hmm. And if you ever saw a guy named Ronnie Williams, God. We were pretty close. Ronnie Williams was pretty close.
Well, and the other thing too with Hutch is that I think when you and I first started hanging around together, you were throwing with these 2 fingers. If I remember right.
Yeah, because I had the surgery on my hand.
These 2 right here,
baseball grip. I had a surgery on my hand. I went out on the fall tour. There was 4 tournaments, I believe, maybe 5. But I made I got 2 checks and 2 finals. Mm-hmm. Then I come on the winter tour, and I was doing pretty good. I made the finals in Vegas, and this is the God's honest truth. This is when you get flattered and you don't know it. Mm-hmm. Somebody had called Billy Hardwick, one of the greatest bowlers ever, who used to bowl with these 2 fingers.
Mhm.
And someone said to him that I was bowling. Now, why would Billy Hardwick? He said, because I had bowled against Hardwick earlier before my hand went on to Fritz.
Mhm.
I bowled him in the finals several times, and he was great. I'm bowling the finals in Vegas. I'm in 19th or 20th. I think it's the year Emmett Shoots wins. And
Mhm.
he's sitting behind me. And I bowl a game and I leave about 4 or 5, 10 pins, 6, 10, whatever I leave. And he says to me, thanks, Hutch. He said, that's enough. He said, that's why I left. That's why I stopped throwing like that. But he actually came out to watch me bowl. That's what kind of a compliment can you get?
To have Bill Hardwick watch you bowl.
He was a guy that I used to watch when I came over from the junior league. He's never going to watch me bowl.
Too. Same thing.
He's never going to watch me bowl, and he's never going to know my name. He's never going to care how I bowl.
Right.
I mean, to say that, me and Charlie lived the dream, Derek.
Yep.
We talk about this, lived the dream. I'm coming home from Greenridge Lanes from the junior league watching these guys. You think that someday I think that Dick Weber's going to call me Hutch? No, excuse me. No way.
No, say whatever you want.
No way. I'm going to go to Salvino's house to eat. I'm going to go to Weber's house to eat. And we're going to meet Earl Anthony's family and be kidding with his son. No, that can't happen.
Yeah.
It can't happen to one of the greatest bowlers in the world. When you come in, you have a good block. Hutch, where'd you play him? Charlie, where'd you play him?
Yeah.
Why would they ask us that? But they did. I mean, we got pretty good.
Yep.
I think I don't know if you do, Charlie, but I look at myself as I always picture myself as sort of an underachiever. I
Mhm.
mean, I went out there.
The same way, yeah.
Yeah, I went out there to be the best bowler in the world. And I won 4 times. Charlie won 3 times, but Charlie went on the senior tour also and made a bunch. He made more shows than me, did you ever think of this, Charlie? How many guys we know and bowled against and with? Not only did they never win a tournament, never made a show, never made a finals, and probably a lot we know that never got a check and bowled more than one tournament.
Yeah.
And we look at ourselves as underachievers. I was 2-time All-American. Were you on the All-America team a couple years?
No, I had second team, I think, one year.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I was second team and third team. 80 and 81. But if you're on the second team, you're in the top 10. If you're on the third team, you're in the top 15. I mean, you're 15 out of 1,000. And I'm looking at myself like I'm a rag because I'm 11th, ranked 11th, and 1 year and 9th another year. Mm-hmm. You don't realize until you talk to someone who was bowled, I don't know how many years, and we saw them. They never made a finals. Mm-hmm. Some of the guys that traveled when they had the PTQ, remember, Charlie, they had 100 and some guys, and they were going week to week.
Yeah, PTQs were huge.
And there were guys that never got out of a PTQ, and they bowled all of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, crazy. I mean, it's just because you look at Earl. You look at Walter, Norm, Parker, Earl, Pete, and you say, well, what did I do compared to those guys? But there's thousands and thousands of guys and I'm not bragging, that look at Charlie's record or my record, and they would love to have. They would love to have done what we did. Mm-hmm. I would love to. When you said I had 5, I'd love to have 5. I'd love to have 5, but I don't have 5.
Somebody told me you did, but okay.
Nah. Harry Golden introduced me one time with 5. I went in for a pro-am and I told him. Another time I said to him, Harry, I got 4. Another time he introduced me with 3, I said, Harry, they're not that easy to come by. I have 4. I went up and told him. He said, I'm sorry. I mean, up until you win, Charlie, what's your claim to fame? From South St. Paul, and I was from Scranton.
Yeah.
That's how they introduce you. That's how they introduce you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's your claim to fame. Because I was from Scranton, Pennsylvania. He was from South St. Paul, Minnesota. All of a sudden, when you win, it's a different story.
Yeah, I mean, it changes. I mean, it just even one. I mean, like I was talking to Stu. We were Beef and Barnsley at one time. Stu and I were talking about, and he said, "Well, what's the first one's the most important?" It's the most important, but the second one is
kind of validates things.
It validates things, because I don't want to say that there's a lot of guys with 1. But there's a hell of a lot more guys with 1 than there is with 2, and the same as with mm-hmm. 3 or with 4, and you look at that, and I mean, Joe, probably about the only time I ever think of that, or you ever think it was maybe like when you and I are talking, or the subject comes up, even like there's a couple of guys around here that bust my balls about losing to Earl and all that stuff. like that. And I got one guy that won't he won't talk to me. He said like he won't talk to me. I said, and this was a point of like what you made. I lost to the best bowler in the world.
Mhm.
Who's the best bowler in the world?
Mhm.
Fuck, I'm gonna be pissed off about that. I mean,
You
I'm
also-
pissed off that I
Yeah,
that I
you
didn't
also
win.
you also lost to Roth. You also lost to Holdman.
Yeah.
I mean, when you go down the guys the list that were bowlers of the year, we lost to all of them.
Yep.
The only bowler of the year that I never lost to was Don Carter because he was done bowling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I bowled bowlers of the year. I mean, my God. I mean, Wayne's on. Wayne his career was nearing an end when I came up, but he was still making finals, and I bowled him in the finals. I bowled Ricker. How about Ricker wasn't bowler of the year? He's the least known pro with 20 titles.
Mm.
Ricker's won 20 tournaments. So you say, who won 20? You mentioned his name, guy. Go, who?
Yeah.
Wow.
20 wins.
So I know of Dick because he did those bowling camps or whatever, and I think he came to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
In Ithaca, New York.
Yep. So I want to say something. I want to say a couple things, and I have a question for you. That's kind of off the sheet. Joe Furpo is the one that suggested that that the three of us talk.
Yeah, Joey's great. Joey won twice. Joe won twice, I believe.
Once.
What he won the doubles with Del Warren.
Yeah. And I don't think he ever won again.
Yeah.
No, but Joe made television shows.
Oh yeah.
Joe had a good game.
Oh yeah.
Go through it. Great.
And what I want to say to you is you were talking about bowling in front of Billy Hardwick. Well, I am going to have a dream of mine realized in today's what, the 9th, in 12 days. I'm doing a clinic in Augusta, and it's just like a bowl with the pros type thing. And two of the coaches are Carolyn Doran Ballard. There's 12 coaches, but two of them are Carolyn Doran Ballard and Dell. And I'm going to be able to throw shots in front of Dell Ballard. And I was talking to Adam Lemmeries last week on the podcast, and I said, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't shed a tear because I've always wanted to bowl in front of Dell Ballard. And now I'm going to get a chance to. I can't wait for this. This is going to be.
Well, Derek, when you see Dell, ask him if he has that pair of sneaks that me and Charlie gave him.
Okay. So when I
Remember?
what's this?
Well, Dell's another one.
Oh, Dell was great.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dell was great.
Oh.
Let me ask you a question. Does it break your heart listening to him talk nowadays? Because we all know it's still Dell, but it's not Dell Ballard. What he went through in his life, that breaks my heart. What do you? I mean,
Okay, I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
Just the first time you've ever talked to me, I sound a little bit like Rod Stewart. A year ago on my birthday, I had a cancerous tumor removed from my vocal cord.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can.
Because I don't sound the same.
I can.
Charlie heard me. Charlie knew my voice. My voice is never going to be that again. But I got lucky. I got lucky. I got a good form of cancer, if there is one, and it was not internal. It was on my vocal cord, and they removed it with the laser. And I just had my last checkup, and I'm 100% cancer free for right now. Right? Dell has gone through procedures, and God bless him. But boy, what a talent, and what a talent! And then marry someone who betters every record you ever had. Carolyn is special.
Oh, absolutely.
Special. And Dell is special, and he's a great friend of mine and Charlie's.
Yeah. When I asked Dell if he wanted to be on this podcast, because I messaged him, I was like, hey, this podcast just started out. Hey, you want to do this? He said, absolutely, let me know. And then he said, hey, listen, I don't know if I'm relevant or if people understand me. Do you mind if Carolyn joins me? I said, of course. And I said, I was talking in the podcast, and I'm not one of these pro bowling fans that just like, hey, thanks for the autograph. I actually care about the people that I'm watching. I told Dell, I says, I care about him. And he says, I think I kind of took him by surprise a little bit, but no, I generally I love Dell Ballard, and I can't wait to bowl in front of him. And
Derek, who did Dell Ballard copy his style of?
Marshall
You have an
Holman.
idea? Marshall Holman.
Yeah.
Marshall Holman.
Yeah.
Probably one of the greatest physical games ever. Marshall Holman.
Sure. Yep.
And bowlers, period. One of the greatest ever. Period.
Yep.
He was flawless. He was
so,
okay. You want to hear? Let me give you a story about me and Marshall. I'm bowling him in Austin, Texas, at Jerry Ray's place. Charlie.
Yeah.
Jerry Ray. What was his name?
Yeah, Jerry Ray.
The lanes are. I mean, we're going back a long time. The lanes were very, very tight. There wasn't a lot of hook. I'm throwing a yellow dot or something. I think angles were out at the time, but I was trying 15-pounders, and they didn't have any 15-pound angles. Nobody was throwing 15 on the tour, throwing 16s. So I'm winding up throwing a 15-pound yellow dot or something. Freddie Saya, Tommy Baker's sponsor, another character to say the least, but great guy. And Tommy, what a great bowler. I mean, unbelievable. Me and Charlie saw him heads up. But I'm bowling Holman, and I'm not doing too bad. I got to be like in, I don't know, 12th, 13th, 14th. Marshall's leading the tournament. Charlie, you made this show. Sutar won, remember?
Sutar beat me, yeah.
Sutar, okay. But Marshall led by 550 pins over second place.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I throw, my ball always hooks. Does it hook as much as Marshall's? No, but a lot of guys didn't. Marshall could really make the ball turn the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm bowling, and I'm talking to Freddie, and I got 4 in a row, the first 4, and I'm not watching Marshall bowl. And I'm going to finish the match first, and he's going to finish on the even lane.
Mm-hmm.
And I happen to turn around after I get 4 in a row, and Marshall's, and I look, and he's standing against the ball return on the even lane, and I said to myself, he must have left the 10 pin. I look around, as a full rack. And I said to Freddie Sy, I said, what's he doing? When I saw him throw the ball, where he put it down, where it crossed the arrows, where it went to, and how it destroyed the 10 pins, I turned around to Freddie Sy and I said, Fred, I'm hunting polar bear with a slingshot. It's just what I said. Marshall, I bowled 220, I want to say 222. Marshall rings the 10 in the 10th frame for 299. I run out on the approach to congratulate him, and he looks at me when I'm coming at him. He doesn't know what's going on, and I grab his hand, I shake his hand. Marshall, I said, it's the greatest game I've ever seen bowled in my life. I said, you know why? No, because I'm on the pair with you. And I know what I don't have, and I know what you're able to generate, and we're both throwing the same hand. If I'm bowling that on 11 and 12 and Charlie's on 13 and 14, you know what you think? Well, that his pair ain't like my pair.
Mm-hmm.
Or his pair ain't like this pair. I'm on that pair. And I watched him, and he led that tournament by 550 pins. And the only guy he didn't want to bowl in the finals, he told me later, was Sutar. If Sutar got by, and Sutar got by you,
yeah,
Sutar ran the ladder, I think, right? And Dave was one of them guys, Derek, when he got lined up, he was impossible. Okay. He wouldn't miss. Mm-hmm. And Marshall, I remember going in the paddock after and congratulating Marshall. He was really sad, but upset. But boy, what a talent. Marshall, what a talent.
Marshall was saying he didn't want to bowl Sutar?
Hey, the only guy if he had his druthers, he would, the other two, Charlie, I forget who else was on, but Charlie was the closest guy to Sutar. But yeah. Charlie had never, I don't think you had ever won yet, Charlie. You won in Seattle first. You won in Seattle first, right?
Yeah.
And
this was the year before. 2 years.
Yeah, so, but Sutar had 15, 16 titles. Mm-hmm. He's gonna approach the title match different. Marshall had already won 15 times or whatever, mm-hmm. And if anybody else got there, they might feel the pressure of your first title, and Sutar bowled 240 at him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dave was 17 titles. How many senior titles? He won a house. Come on.
Yeah,
great bowler.
So we got quite a few comments in the chat.
I do know who Moto Fusey is now.
Who is it?
I think he's a friend of mine.
Okay.
The guy that asked if we met in a gay bar. I met him at a gay bar, but that's beside the point.
So I don't know if any of you know who Adam is. Adam Lemarese. He was a guest last Sunday on my podcast. He's very big PBA super fan from North Carolina. So this is one of his comments. He says, he wants to know, Charlie, how was it winning at Windsor Locks at Bradley Bowl?
It was okay.
Yeah.
No, right. That was really crazy because I bowled I got done bowling a pro-am, And Johnny Campos called me in the office, and he goes, "Hey," he said, "listen, I got to give you a check." And I said, "For what?" And he goes, "Well, your sponsor put you in the Firestone." And I wasn't eligible. I wasn't eligible then.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, "Well," I said, "hang on to it." I said, "You never know." And what was really weird is on Monday, my wife Marlis was with me, and she was bowling on the ladies tour, and she was pretty sharp at that time. So me, Marlis, and Ernie Schlegel are practicing together. And so Ernie says to me, he goes, "Tappy." He said, "Tappy, but here's what you got to do." He goes, "When they hook," he goes, "you don't move to the left." He goes, "You move to the right." I goes, "What the hell are you talking about?" Right? And he goes, "Yeah." He said, "Move your feet to the right and your eyes to the left." And I said, "Yeah, okay." So we're kind of dicking around. And she was the only one that was striking. So anyway, we're in the night block, and I can't do anything. And I'm, what the hell, right? So I'm thinking back. He goes, "You know what? I'm going to do what Schlegel did." I took the hook'em ball I had, moved to my feet to the right, the eyes to the left, 250, 240, 260, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah. And
it was just bombs away. They make the finals, make the show, run the ladder, and win the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, if we don't bowl at practice, I would never.
Oh, you would never do that.
Never do that.
I tell you.
And it's just and it was so funny when the show ended. When the show ended, the phone rang at the counter, and my wife was standing by the counter at the counter, and the guy answered the phone. He says, "It's for Charlie." So she takes it. It's Schlegel. The first thing is Schlegel, and every other word out of his mouth is, "You son of a bitch, that bastard." I mean, he's going on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so funny.
Okay.
But yeah, it was just, that was insane.
Tell him about how far you were off the show in Denver and what happened.
Okay.
Oh shit, yeah. We this was 80. This had to be what, Joe? 80 or 81, probably.
Early in the 80s.
Early 80s. And I'm bowling with I was me and Hutch were traveling with Bruce Carter, and Bruce Carter was on the show. He was third or fourth, and so we're at lunch. I'm 320 behind him, like in 13th or 14th, and we're sitting eating lunch, and Bruce is pissing and moaning. Oh, he's pissing and moaning about everything, but
absolutely,
he's pissing and moaning about it. And so anyway, I grab his pant leg, and I shake his pant leg, and I said, "Bruce," I said, "when you feel this, that's me blowing by you tonight." And we're like, yeah, I mean, if I got the 12th, I would have been happy. It was unbelievable. 290, 300, 260, 290. So going into the position round game, I'm locked on the show. I couldn't drop the fourth, and I couldn't get the second. And I knocked him off the show. I shot 493 over.
Okay.
For 8. And knocked him off the show.
Okay, so I'm rooming with Charlie, Derek. I don't go over that night because he's 350 pins off of this. I walk in, Mike Durbin is walking out.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to do the color the next day.
Sure.
He says to me, "Hutch, what an exhibition you missed tonight." I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "Charlie's third. That's impossible." He goes, so I go, "Charlie, you took out another ball and spotted the dots."
Right, yeah, that's right.
And he said, "Hutch," he said, I don't know if you took a black beauty out or a purple white dot, whatever you did. And he said, "A ball had you," and I brought my target into the dots. Now the arrows are 15 feet. The dots are 6. Charlie's 6'6". His posture has to look down at the dots and not get your weight forward. And you said you couldn't miss.
Yeah, I couldn't miss. Yeah.
He couldn't miss. And it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing things that happened. But that wasn't anything compared to when Goose's wife came at the pool in the bikini.
No, nothing compared to that.
No, everybody, Tange Hut. Yeah, Big Dot. Oof.
So I've been asked by your friend to ask you about Mel's Coke machine.
Mel's bowl?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's when I lost to Toby, and so we got done, and here's what's really kind
Toby
of funny.
Contreras.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I had him by the balls. I mean,
Okay.
the eighth frame, the game's over. The game is real. I mean, if I mark out, the game's done. So I was going to re-rack on the left lane, and I looked at it and I thought, well, I don't need to re-rack, and I did what Joe told me to do a year and a half before in Vegas. He goes, Charlie, he said, if you want to make sure you're not the 10 pin out, if they're a little bit flaky, just move your eyes aboard right, so the ball finished a little bit harder, right? And the rack was a little bit closed. And I thought, the hell with it. I'm not going to take another re-rack. I'm lined up. I'm killing him. Holy shit. I shoot 270, 240, whatever the hell it was. And so I moved my eyes to the right, and the ball got to the right, and I thought, that's pretty good. And all of a sudden, I must have threw the pin slow, and I Greek churched. And that led him back in the game.
He beat you with a Star Trek, right?
Yeah, he beat me with a ball that was, I mean, how much of those lanes hooked, Joe? Oh, my God.
Oh, they were unbelievable.
He was using a sanded urethane ball. Right in the dirt part of the lane.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I lose and I'm pissed off, right? Because that one I never should have lost that. So anyway, I got two ball totes, and the guy that's asking about this, he's a cop in Alameda. All right.
Thank you for wearing the badge.
We've been friends for many, many years. Anyway, So I've got the two totes on and the first thing I see is the Coke machine. And I labeled that fucking thing. Boy, I'll tell you, I put a dent in that son of a bitch this big, right? And that dent stayed there for I don't know how many years. I don't know how many years we went back, but it was still there. And he was on patrol. He'd go in there, he'd see the dent in the Coke machine like 7 years later. I mean, it was crazy. So, but yeah, that's what that's all about.
That was crazy. But I tell you what, Charlie cracked that door a hair, and boy, I mean, he threw the last four. He couldn't throw them any better.
Yeah.
Toby, yeah. He couldn't. I mean, it was amazing, and the place went crazy. Palmer pushed you. You had but you struck out and won the game. And then it looked like I'm sitting up at the bleachers, and I'm saying to myself, "This is." And all of a sudden, that Greek church, and I went, "Wow, he's got a chance now."
Yeah.
Got a chance. He's got a chance, but he has to strike out, and he does.
Yep.
But speaking of getting five, and not, we have to go back to a person who passed away, Bill Coleman.
Oh Jesus!
Who's this?
We're in Baltimore. We're in Baltimore. Bill won twice. Terrific bowler, made a bunch of shows. God bless him, he passed away. We're in the restaurant at the lanes in Baltimore. What were those homes? What were the Fairlanes?
Fairlanes. Yeah.
And
Where
they're talking about this and that, and Bill used to smoke these more cigarettes, and he's leaning over there, taking a puff, and he says, "And you, Charlie Tapp," he goes, I'm at the table with Charlie. He goes, "I owe you one." He said, "The last time we bowled, you did this and you did that." And Charlie's like in 21st, and Billy's up by the show. So we get out. I'm watching the last game of the morning block. Coleman comes up in the 10th frame. All he has to do is, stay behind the line and breathe. Leaves the bucket with the 7-pin. Okay, Charlie, we look at Charlie, he looks at me, and he throws for the spare, and he only hits the 5-pin. He hits the 5-8. He goes 7 out. And Charlie needs 3 strikes in the 10th to beat him by a pin, and he does. And Bill I can't tell you how mad he was. And Charlie goes over in a very inimitable way and picks the sheet up and looks at Bill, and he has the cigarette, and he goes like this to him. "Now you owe me 2. And he walks away from him. And Bill was livid. He turned around to his wife, Janelle, who was a sweetheart, and goes like this, "Get the kids. We're going into the motorhome right now. Let's get out of here." Oh, God. There's been so many things. We could tell you about Pete Couture.
Oh, gosh.
God almighty, Pete.
Do it.
Bowling Pete, Charlie is we're bowling in Hamilton, Ontario.
Hamilton, Ontario, yeah.
And you remember this match. I'm bowling Pete.
Yeah.
On 5 and 6, Mike Durbin is bowling someone on 1 and 2. Pete needs first strike and a 10th to shut me out. If he doesn't and goes spare strike, I can strike out and beat him. And it's 30 bonus pins, but you got to understand Pete. But so Pete gets up and he had this way of stand up there like this. And all of a sudden, Mike throws a shot on 1 and he starts running it out. Now he's on 2. Now he's on 3. Now he's like starting to get on 4. And he doesn't get a strike. He leaves like a flat 10 or something. And you see him like he goes down in his posture with his knees. And of course, Pete just bangs the ball on the return and he starts calling him all these names and everything. And he goes over and he looks and he goes, it wasn't even a double. It was for a 1-bagger. And he's livid. He comes up, doesn't he leave a 10 pin?
Yeah.
And he makes the spare and he gets the strike. And I come up in the 10th frame and Charlie goes, I guess, he looks at Pete, he goes, I'll just put the 30 here on Hutch's side. And I strike out Pete. I mean, we're rooming together, we're traveling together.
Yep.
And Pete's like, if you had to light a cigarette, just put it by him. He's out of his mind.
He was so mad.
How about when you come back from playing darts and he said you had an unfair advantage because you were tall and a triple 20 was too high? Remember, he was throwing into triple 19. He was beautiful. You have no idea there.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
He was so mad. He goes. Fuck Durbin. He was like this. He said, and he is so mad. He goes, fuck him. He goes, he's no goddamn angel.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I hope
Durbin did the.
I hope he was a very religious guy.
Yeah, and he did the Bible studies.
Yes, and Mike, and I'm going to tell you what, Derek, Mike was a great bowler.
Oh God, yeah.
14 titles, 3 Firestones.
Yeah.
Rock solid game, physical game, fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
He won the Firestone with 3 steps, 4 steps,
4 steps and 5 steps,
Yep.
and he also won with a full roller and a 3/4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Question for you: what's more impressive, that feat right there, or what Jason Couch did in 91, 99, 2000, and 2002?
What do you mean the 3 in a row?
The 3 in a row versus.
Let me ask you a question. Is it Jason asking the question?
No, it's me.
Oh, because I got an answer from Jason from all the guys that bowl. Someone said that when the arena was built, it was tilted so that the left was always rolling downhill. You tell me. I wasn't bowling then.
Oh, all right.
They said that the arena in Reno was, let's just say, in a town that gambling's the king. It wasn't on the level.
Well, he won his 3rd at Mohegan Sun.
I thought he won 3 in a row there at the arena.
He won in 99 at Incredible in Overland Park, Kansas. He won in Lake Zurich, Illinois in 2000. Then he won at the Mohegan.
No, we're talking about the 3 tournament of champions he won.
Oh, shoot. Okay, I'm sorry.
They were in a row.
That's what I'm saying.
3 years in a row. They were at the stadium.
Nope.
Not the tournament champions. What was it? The national, Charlie?
Yeah, there was.
What was there? The PBA. The PBA
had Durbin or Couch. Couch won. So Couch won in 99 in Overland Park, Kansas. Okay.
That was the King Louis.
No, that was Tournament of Champions
in Overland Park, Kansas. I never. When was the Tournament of Champions in Overland Park, Charlie?
98, 99.
Well, the King Louis was the one that
was in
Overland Park.
But 98, 99. Me and Charlie are done bowling.
No, I get it. Did you? I'm sorry. I have a memory but no. He won in Overland Park, Kansas in 99 at Incredible. He won in Lake Zurich in 2000, and he won at Mohegan Sun in 01. I promise. I swear on my life.
Was that the World Championship?
No, TOC.
Okay, so look up Jason's record right now. See if he ever won 3 years in a row at the stadium.
Never did.
Stadium in Reno.
Never did. I've never seen him. I would. Jason's like my second favorite bowler. I've never seen him win in Reno. I've seen him bowl there. He bowled there in 97, but he never he won his first 5 titles from the top seed. He's never won in Reno that I know of. But he won when he won his TOC. It was in Kansas City, Chicago, and Connecticut.
Really?
I promise. I will.
Let me ask you a question. For the people out there watching this podcast, if anybody's got Jason Couch's number, call him and tell him, come on, me and Charlie want to talk to him.
You know what? Actually, I can.
Yeah,
You got his number?
He had a three-peat the Tournament of Champions, 99, 2000, 2002. The event was not contested in 2001.
Right.
Does he have any titles at the stadium, Charlie?
Nope. If you really want me to try to get Couch, I can get. I got
Charlie's looking at the book.
Okay. Not trying to argue with my guests.
Oh no, I know that.
Wait a minute. Here we go. Let's see.
I'd bet $1 million that I'm right.
Yeah, he won the TSC in Overland Park.
Yep.
In '99, Lake Zurich in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Mohegan Sun.
That's his Mohegan Sun. Yeah, in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Nothing in. He won the Motel 6 in Henderson, Nevada, but I don't know where that was.
So that was.
But no, there was nothing in the. Where it looks like anything in the stadium.
You know, I gotta tell you what, Derek, I stand corrected. I remember when he went for when he was going for the Fort Peak, because they didn't have it in 2001.
Right.
I remember a headline in a bowling magazine, and it said, "Come watch the Tournament of Champions, where the bowlers come to die at the hands of Jason Couch," because he had won 3 in a row.
Yep.
But I never knew, as God's honest truth, I never knew that the Tournament of Champions was contested at Overland Park.
Yep.
I don't know where the hell that would have been. Paul Wolf probably.
I don't know. It had to be at King Louis West, right?
No, it was that Incredible.
Incredible.
Yep.
Wow, that's
Brian Goebel won there in '98, and then Jason won in '99.
Yeah,
that was the last time they were there.
Well, I tell you what, that's I stand corrected. Not a problem. I knew he won 3 in a row. I thought he won 3 in a row at the stadium.
Nope.
And and according to your book, Charlie, he never won in Reno.
No, this says nothing about the stadium.
How many shows did he make in Reno? Because I know the '97 TOC he made there.
I don't know. Jason probably made 50 shows somewhere along the line.
Right.
You know, when you think about what Walter's done, Charlie's won 127 pro tournaments.
Mm.
Yeah.
He did 127 pro tournaments, and he probably made 200 shows, 225 shows.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's absolutely phenomenal.
That's unbelievable.
Do you guys wish that the equipment today was the equipment back in your day that hooked more, or were you guys okay with throwing the rubber and the plastic and the urethane and all that?
Well, we really didn't know any different.
No, I get that, but okay, right.
Okay. But we every once in a while we run into we go somewhere and buy a ball. Hutch, remember that ball, that Black Beauty I bought in Tucson? That ball hooked more than any ball I ever owned in my life.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know. There were LT48s that were, they were 85 hardness that hooked a mile, and there were LT48s that were 72 that still haven't hooked.
When I won Peoria in 1980, I hope Tommy Baker's watching this.
I wish he would.
Well, I hope he is. Yeah. We went out to the truck to buy bowling balls, and I got 2 bleeder yellow dots. They were 8Rs, I believe, off Litchi. They were $75 a ball. The bags were stuck to the balls, so I had them drill them up. One was my favorite weights, like a half side, quarter finger. You talk to this now, the people who bowl today go like, what did that mean? Well, it's what it was at the time. And the other one had I put a little thumb weight in and a little bit, whatever, just a couple different balances. Tommy bought a Bonanza yellow dot for $25. We went into practice. Charlie, I think you were there. Louis Moore was there. Joe Natoli, you had to be there.
Yeah.
And I want to say Don Sylvia might have been there. and we're practicing, just me and Charlie. Me and Biggs. Tommy's on the left lane, I'm on the right lane of a pair. And Tommy's great. Okay. And he's just striking like a fool, but his ball is hooking it. I'm killing myself to leave a 2-pin with both these balls.
Mm-hmm.
Louis Moore makes a statement to me. He says, "Don't you wish you had fingers like him?" And I said, "Hey, Louis, I do. Something screwy with the balls. I mean, because Tommy's wasn't a bleeder. His was just a red yellow dot.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was, you peeling the bag off and it was stuck. That was the big selling point, right? So I asked Tommy, because I could throw Tommy's ball, he could throw mine. Tom, do me a favor. Throw my ball, can you? And I'll throw yours. Yeah, it's no problem. So Tommy says to me, "Where do you want me to throw it from?" "Right from where you're throwing it now." And he threw my ball. He hit the 3-pin and it fell at 180 degrees and hit the 2-pin. He left a 1, 5, 7, 8, 9. I throw his ball where I'm leaving the 2-pin. I get a going away Brooklyn strike. The next day in the Pro-Am, I give away the 2 balls to kids.
Mm-hmm.
I go out and I drill a $25 Bonanza yellow dot,
Mm-hmm.
and I win the tournament.
Nice.
I win the magic score with that ball.
Yeah.
So, we got one for you there, Charlie. What's up, Amber? Hey, everybody who's watching, like and subscribe to this channel. Charlie, you're wearing the wrong shirt. You should be wearing a Red Sox shirt. That's what I'm saying. But Amber says, I don't know who she roots for, but
probably the Tigers.
Okay, there you go.
She's one of my students that I helped. In fact, she won. Her and her partner won the USBC doubles or WIBC doubles or
very nice.
Whatever, some 4-letter thing. But anyway, they won a national championship in their division.
Nice. So
yeah. So
what I was going to say to you that was off the sheet was I had Len Nicholson on actually a couple weeks ago.
Beautiful man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful guy.
Yep. So, and because I was, I know that he's, he bowled with Dick Weber and all that. And I know that you guys did. When Dick and Earl passed away, I'll tell you my reaction when I found out that Earl passed away. I was watching TV and all of a sudden I had it on Sports Center and all of a sudden I see them showing a picture of Earl Anthony. And I'm just like, oh, why are they talking about Earl Anthony? They never talk about bowling. And then they said that he passed away. And then of course, Dick Weber passes away in 2005, the week of the US Open. What were your reactions? Where were you? Like, what was that like for you guys?
Go ahead, Chuck.
Well, the thing with Earl, I mean, that was really surprising, and what kind of what was really shitty about that? Other than obviously him passing away,
Mm-hmm.
but was how how some of the press treated. That, like Jim Rome. I mean, I think that was terrible. I mean, he was the greatest for how many years? It just and what it takes to be that. There was Earl, there was Mark, there was Marshall, and I know damn well. I'm leaving a few more guys out, but this guy was the best. I mean, he was. He was winning tournaments when there wasn't a lefty that wouldn't catch.
Right, I've heard that.
And winning by leading by ridiculous amounts of pins. But one thing about Earl is that Hutch and I probably bowled I don't know how many tournaments at the same time. A couple probably between those 5 years or whatever, probably a couple hundred anyway, right? And I would be willing to bet that him and I crossed together maybe 3 or 4 times, 4 at the most.
Yeah.
In 200 tournaments. Now, Pro-Ams, they had us together all the time. But like in tournaments, I didn't even know he was in the tournament, because I wouldn't see him. But the one year we're bowling a national championship at Sunnybrook in Sterling Heights, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And we're bowling next to Earl. And between Hutch and I, we were probably 30 over. And Earl was literally 1,000 over. It was 1,000 over, but like 998 or some damn thing, right? So we're like getting towards the end of the last block, and so we've got 2 chairs sitting at the settee area was pretty big. So we've got 2 chairs there, and here's Hutch with a pencil and paper, and he's laughing. You know, I know what the hell's wrong. So he sits down and he goes, Charlie, look at this. He goes, for every double that you and I have, Earl has a 5-bagger.
Yeah.
And he was going through this whole math thing. He just look at this. He's got all this shit figured out, right?
Yeah.
And so we're laughing like hell, you know. And Earl comes up to us. He goes, "Are you 2 assholes ever gonna shut up?"
Yeah.
I remember that. He was so pissed off. But
Yeah,
I mean, oh my
I can't
God.
picture that.
Oh shit. It was so funny. Yeah, I mean, and afterwards, I mean, he didn't, you know, I mean, he was really cool about it. He goes, but
Yeah.
you know, but
Tell him
I
about.
got along great with him. And
Tell him about Weber. Tell him when you found out about Weber.
Real quick before, if you don't mind, if you don't mind, what did Jim Rome say about Earl?
Well, that I don't know.
Oh, he said, he had said something about that something happened with his thumb. And then, you know, because Chris Schenkel had a thing, you know, that he said he was in a tribute. You know, Chris Schenkel had a thing that said that Earl's approach was as smooth as a pin setter. You know, and Rome got into that a little bit, and you know, and it was pretty shitty.
Yeah,
you know, like what he said, it was like just no respect whatsoever.
Sure, I believe that 100%.
Yeah. So.
And Weber, we
this same tournament we're talking about it. Like I think this is what Joe's talking about. We were bowling in Hamilton, Ontario, and so my stuff was next to Dick's, and Hutch is on the other side. So I pull the ball out of the bag, and it's a Dick Weber 5-star. And so Hutch says to me, he goes, Charlie, he goes, this is amazing. He goes, we're standing next to the guy whose name is on this ball.
That's right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so Dick Weber says to me, he goes, are you going to bowl for money with that ball? And I looked at him, I said, you know what? I'm going to kick your ass with it is what I'm going to do. And they were shitty. Waves were really shitty. So I took that ball, and he goes, you actually got, I did. So I took it out there, and I shot 80 over. It might as well have been fucking 280 over. Right? So I come back, and he goes, how'd you bowl? I go, 80 over. He goes, you did kick my ass. But yeah, but Dick was a lot of fun. Oh shit. Him and Don Johnson. Don Johnson was probably our best audience.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we busted his ass. Oh, constantly. Just
Don Johnson?
Oh yeah. So I didn't mean to get off the track here, but
no.
But yeah, he was so much fun. Oh,
that 10-pin will be the most famous 10-pin in the history of bowling, don't you think?
Yeah,
either that or Randy Peterson's 8-pin.
No. Oh my God. So you guys know that Schlegel was on the show, right? Yeah, that was a 4
Schlegel was at my house the week before.
Before the
tournament in Pittsburgh. Him and I practiced at my house at the bowling center, and he went up another place and bowled after the league was over, and everybody was wishing him good luck, and he went out there and he won the tournament. I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. He struck out to make Randy show up, and Randy couldn't throw the ball any better.
Nope.
He couldn't throw it any better. You know, and people don't remember Earl having 299 in Cleveland with a caramel white on, leaving a solid 9, exactly the same hit Randy had, except
in
the mirror.
Yeah, that's right.
Look in the mirror. Unbelievable. Nine pins turned into dust.
Yep.
I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yep.
Okay, tell you what. I'm in the house that I'm in right now. I'm downstairs in the room that was the office for the people that had the house before us. And my wife yells down. She says, "It's the Scranton Times. They want to talk to you." The newspaper. All right, you know what? So I get on the phone, and the guy says to me, "Hutch, do you know that Earl Anthony is dead?" I have a tough time now. I remember I said to the guy, "Can you call me back in 3 minutes?" He said, "Yeah." And I'm easy to cry. I'm easy to cry. And I started to cry. And he called me back, and I gave him my opinion for what it was worth of how great he was and how off the lanes, how different he was, how he liked to laugh and joke and stuff like that. I went to the movies with Earl. I went to dinner with him a couple of times. And, on the lanes, I always said that him and Mark, both of them were cardiologists. They wanted to do a heart transplant on you. Earl was nice enough to use an anesthetic. Mark wasn't. Mark just ripped your heart out. Earl was going to rip your heart out too, but he was nice. He put you to sleep. He put you in twilight.
Yeah.
I mean, and then I heard how he died. That's what I thought you meant that Jim Rome said. I heard how Earl died, and I just felt so bad. And then Weber, Charlie, you called me.
Yeah.
No, you didn't know. You called me about Don Johnson.
Yeah, I called you about Don Johnson.
Catherine Schleichel texted me that Dick Weber died, and I was long gone from bowling. I was delivering pizza at the time, and I remember she called me on the phone, and I took the call. I was driving, and I had to pull over. And I, honest to God, I cried for about 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. I stopped many times to cry for Weber.
Yeah.
One of the greatest tournaments I ever bowled in, I had the privilege of. He was my partner in Erlanger, Kentucky, in the senior touring pro doubles. Now, would Dick Weber ever bowl with me? Not when his son's in the tournament. Why would he? Mm-hmm. But they paired us. Top guy, second. I was second on the touring pro side. He was second. And we wound up qualifying second for the show. We got beat by the eventual winner, Steve Wunderlich and Les Sykes. But I got to bowl 18 games of match play with the guy that was my hero. Mm-hmm. That's never, ever going to happen in my life, but it did. It can happen, but it did.
Yep.
And these are the things you look back on, and it's just amazing that we're bowling in Boston and Peoria, and Kachi's with us, and we're making fun. And Weber said to me one time, I'll never forget. He said to me, I think it was the year I won, but he said, Hutch, he said, I always thought you were pretty good. He said, but you made me laugh a lot. But I'm watching you. He says, you're a hell of a bowler. I said, thanks. And I won the tournament. But for him to say that to me, that's impossible to ever happen.
Oh, I know.
Dick was, we went to the AMF Grand Prix in London. This is, 1984 or whatever. and the place was really, really bad. And it was an old wooden house, and they were remodeling it. We got there, they were still in the middle of the remodel, and they got it done in time for us to bowl. Mm-hmm. And Dick was so much fun. And so there was no oil on the lanes, and I'm throwing a gray angle with my pinky and my ring finger, and we're both bowling 150.
Oh my God, that's funny.
So I throw the ball. I miss the head pin to the left, and I leave the 1-3. I leave the 1-3-6-10. I sit next to Dick, and I goes, Dick, how do you make this? I said, you're supposed to be some hot shit bowler. I said, how do you make this?
You left a what? Charlie, you left a what?
I left a 1-3-6-10. I missed the head pin to the left.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I said, you're some hot shit bowler. How do you make it? He says, I don't know. I've never thrown a ball that shitty enough to leave it.
Right. Right. I've never left it.
But he was great. He was great. When the year before I turned 50, and they were bowling here in Jackson, Michigan, and the field was, they had 480-man field or whatever the hell it was. It was stupid. So I'm standing on the concourse with a bunch of my friends, and Dick comes walking by, and I said, hey, aren't you somebody? And he gives me the finger, right? And I'm standing there with 10 of my friends, and to this day, they think that's the greatest thing that ever happened to me, was that Dick Weber gave me the finger. They thought that was the best thing ever. But that's how he was. He was awesome.
Yes.
He was awesome.
Derek, you know who Roy Buckley is or was?
I've heard the name, yes.
Yeah, well, and Charlie, how good was Roy Buckley?
Oh my God.
Right. Okay.
Unbelievable.
So I'm going to tell you a good story about Roy Buckley.
Mhm.
There's a bunch of stories. Roy Buckley, hands down, Charlie, see if you agree, one of the funniest guys you ever met.
Oh, absolutely.
And how dry was his humor?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Okay. If you ever watch MASH and you know how Hawkeye always went in and wanted a dry martini, and he said he was given the different levels of dry. And when he said to Mr. Kwan, he said, I want dust on the olive. That would be Roy Buckley. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Asher's telling me this story. They're bowling the classic team roll-off.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Norm Myers, another beautiful man. Norm is beautiful. Married to Dick Weber's sister, I believe. Yeah, married. He was Weber was his brother-in-law. And unfortunately, Norm only won once, but twice on the show he had he bowled his brother-in-law for the title, and Dick beat him. But Barry Nelson Burton Jr., Norm Myers, Roy Buckley, and I think maybe Bud Horn or maybe McGrath. But anyway, Barry said we're sitting there, and it was kind of the year that you had to step up on the approach. So we were kind of a little, if you're in the seat, you're a little below. And Norm Myers, you had to know Norm. Norm micromanaged every shot. Always looking at the rack, had the towel, looking at the towel, looking. Buckley, they call him the Sphinx, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he always had the hand towel from the motel room. That's what he always had. We didn't have any microfiber towels in those days, so we didn't really know. We were just smearing the oil all over the ball. Anyway, match is close. I mean, to win the Eagle, Buckley's team, Barry said they won the Eagle twice, and another year, you ready? They lost by a pin, and another year they lost by 2 pins. So that would have been 4 Eagles for the same team. Anyway, Roy gets up to throw the ball. He's looking. He gets up and he goes he used to hold the ball out here, and then all of a sudden he just like his face, and he looked like the Sphinx. And Norm says to him, my God, Barry, look at the 7-pin. Oh my God, look at how far it's off spot. I don't think he can strike. I should say something to him. But I remember, so Roy steps up, 1, 2, 3, goes dead flush, 10 horizontal right into the pin. He's walking back, grabs the towel, stand there like normal. Pins come up again. Norm starts looking. Buckley's got his ball in his hand. He's waiting to go up. And Barry says the rack's worse. Norm is all concerned. Buckley comes up, 1, 2, 3, Sphinx, boom, 10 horizontal right in the pin. He comes up he's leadoff man. He comes up, third shot in the 10th frame, and he picks the ball up. And now there's no problem, I guess, with the 7-pin. Barry said Norm's not saying anything. And Buckley gets up and he goes 1, 2, turns around with the ball in his hand, looks at Norm and goes like this. How's that 7-pin look now, Norm? Turns right around, goes into his approach, 10 horizontal in the pin. Barry said it had to be one of the hardest he's ever laughed in his life. But Roy comes back, picks the towel up off the rack, twirls around, rocks by Norm, and looks at him and says, if there's 10 up, I'm shooting. And they walked by and never said another word the rest of the night. This is, and he just died. And there's people that don't even know who Roy Buckley is. And that's the sin.
I feel like I know that name. I do know that name.
Roy Buckley won 12 times or 11 or 12 times. He's great. Yeah. And he isn't in the National Hall of Fame.
He isn't?
I think he has 3 or 4 Eagles, and he's not in the National Hall of Fame. I mean, they waited him out. They waited him out. And Alice now, God bless her, I heard that she's having some health problems, his wife. It was just her birthday the other day. I mean, we saw we bowled at a different time. It was a different game.
Yeah.
The game today is what it is. It's progress.
Yep.
I mean, Johnny McEnroe always wanted to go back to wooden rackets. You can't do it. And we're watching Jason and EJ and Kyle and Chris and Chris Vine, Chris Prather, and I mean, we're watching these guys, and it's the game is what it is today. I'm not against them with the 2-hand. I notice some guys that think that it's illegal. It isn't illegal. It is. It was always there for us to try, and nobody ever tried it because we emulated the greatest bowlers in the world. It was Dick Weber and Carter and them guys, and they put their thumb in the ball and stood there and they threw it pretty straight. Charlie, we got a good. Derek, I'll give you a good story with Charlie, and you'll remember this.
Sure.
Weber and Carter didn't change the game because the equipment didn't do much. They changed they changed the way bowling was in this way, that because they didn't go to the National Bowling League, the PBA succeeded basically, in the National Bowling League folded after a year in, right?
Mhm.
Okay, but they threw it straight. The equipment went straight. Okay? So the game changer comes along and is Mark Roth.
Yep.
Mark with the burying the fingers, the pump, the violent going up, the quick steps, and just taking the cover off the ball. But he's throwing white dots. He's Columbia.
Mhm.
The ball, Mark don't. People thought that Mark hooked the ball out. Mark didn't. Mark didn't hook the ball out. He hooked it. To say he hooked it at the right time would be an understatement. Marshall curved the ball a lot. It's a lot, but Roth was. So then you go all the way down the road, and here's Jason Belmonte.
Right.
Game changer, two hands. There's a game changer in between. Do you know who it is? You do, Charlie. I know you don't, Derek, but there's a game changer in between.
Should I know who it is?
Oh yeah, you do, because we were sitting after you bowled the doubles with him in Vegas. You had just missed cash, and me and Bakes were in the finals, and he told you he was going home and wouldn't come back to learn how to strike.
I can't think of it. Who is it?
You were his partner in the doubles.
Oh, you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
When,
Shit.
when I say his name, you're going to go, right. You went.
Yes.
Marlis was bowling a pro tournament in New Mexico. You went down with her. You walked in, and he was practicing on lane one, and he waved you to come down.
Oh, God, I don't remember.
Mike Miller.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Charlie says to me, he said, Hutch, he said, he waves me to come down. And as I get close, he says to me, remember I told you I wasn't coming back till I learned how to strike? I learned how to strike. So Charlie was saying, remember you were saying as you were going down, the ball looked crazy going down.
Yeah.
And the pins were flying. So Charlie, the ball comes back, and you said you start turning the ball to see how it was drilled, and there was no thumb hole. And you said, what's this? And he said, this is what it is. And he had started with a 10-pound ball. He got up to 16, but the 16 hurt his wrist. He was throwing 15s, right? Now,
Yeah. Oh, my God.
until Mike Miller makes his first show,
Mhm.
he bowled 300 on TV. He won the PBA National Championship. He won another tournament. But until Mike Miller made his first show, you and I never bowled in a tournament with anybody thumbless except him.
Mhm.
He made his first show. Every pro tournament that I went to after, and you too, there was some knucklehead throwing the ball without the thumb.
Yeah.
And they couldn't throw it as smooth as him. They'd be throwing the ball to the arrows in the air because they cupped it on their wrist. Yeah, but Mike was a game changer. And Mike, we're sitting in the restaurant, me, you, and Bakes and Mike in the showboat, and he said to you, Charlie, do you realize if you and I had carried one flat 10, a game, or no, excuse me, a block, a block. He said, we'd have made the finals. He said, it's 21 pins between strikes. So it's 42 pins, me and you, out of 6 games, not once a game, once a block. 42 times 3 is 126. You guys missed the finals by 80 and a check by 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said, I'm not saying carry every one. One more. And we couldn't do it. And Mike was a great spare bowler.
Oh, yeah.
So he's bowling thumbless, and guess what? When he leaves the spare, he puts his thumb in the ball. So Mike was terrific too. But
oh yeah, it was so funny. Marlis and I went to bowl of doubles. they had a mixed doubles thing at Samstown before she bowled a tournament. And I walk in, and Mike's bowling the doubles with Dana. He's gonna bowl the doubles with Dana, and he's practicing. So anyway, he said, Charlie, come here. So I go over and he goes, what do you think of this? He was throwing it without the thumb. It was unbelievable. He said, should I bowl like this? I was, of course you should bowl like that. I mean, it was they won that thing going away.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
They actually,
you're right. I can't believe I couldn't remember that.
They actually had, I was on the tournament committee. They actually had a discussion about him. And the guys who were doing the lanes, with Lon Marshall, I think, came in and said, what do we do about the guy with no thumb? And Goose goes, what do you mean? He has unlimited right. He could bring the ball back from where no one could bring it back from. And he didn't throw it slow either.
No, he did not.
And I mean, he was sending pins absolutely all over the place. And this was with the super rubber balls before resin.
This is
angles and stuff like that, and LT48s and mag 10s and stuff. But when he started throwing resin, the ball, I mean, my God, I don't know how many solid nines he would leave. It was crazy.
Yeah, when
Crazy.
when he shot his 300 on June 20 of 99, he was, I feel like he was starting it on 15 and like swinging it to like maybe what, 5?
Oh, unbelievable.
I mean,
And plus his body English was great. Remember Mike with the body English coming back and doing all the shakes and everything? He was fantastic.
Yeah.
We're doing a Q&A in Vegas, me and Charlie. And Mike Miller said this to me one day. He goes, "I'll never forget what you said in the Q&A." Denny Schreiner had the microphone.
Yep.
And Goose says, "Hutch, you and Charlie want to?" "Yeah, sure. We go out and have some fun. We go out." And there was the guy, they're asking a question, but there's a guy up in the corner and he's just screaming. I mean, when he was drunk or whatever, right? And the guys are filing out to start the last block and blah, blah, blah. It goes out. And all of a sudden I took the mic from Denny and I said to him, "Yo, buddy." And he looks at, "Yeah, you." I said, "Why don't you stay quiet, save your breath?" I said, "You'll need it later to blow up your inflatable days." Right? And I mean, it just, and the guys all started. I walked down and Mike Miller said to me, "Where did you?" I said, I don't know. It just came out. And and he got quiet and all the people laughed at him. And it was just, it's just like the Baker Square thing.
Yeah.
Do you know that story, Derek?
I don't.
Derek, you are so sheltered. We went,
You have no idea.
we're Baker Square restaurant in Cleveland. Me, Charlie, Mark Baker, Dave Houston. There was a guy named Ned Cohn was with us because he was a friend of mine who was there, and somebody else. And we're in line, and in front of us was a married couple, probably in their 40s, I don't know, but pretty big guy, and it was his wife. And I was a little gassy at the time, and we'll keep the show clean. I was a little flatulent, but anyway,
Yep.
I figured I'm in line and I could, like the guy says, "I'll just squeeze this one out," right? And it just goes like, like almost like when you pull the balloon, like that, and all of a sudden it sounded like somebody ripped a piece of leather, right? And I'm standing there, and all these guys, they're hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
The guy turns around and looks at me, and I'm like, I must look like a deer in headlights. I don't know and he starts on me how ignorant I am and how offensive and how dare I do this and everything. And I'm just looking at him, and he said, "For me, the conversation goes on, and always says to me, but what really has me, he really pisses me off. He goes, 'You farted in front of my wife.'" The E of the word wife was out of his mouth. And I looked at him and I said to him just like this, "I'm sorry, I didn't know it was her turn."
Oh.
And that's a line from Rodney. And I don't know why I thought of it, but it came out. Now they laugh even harder. And his wife started to laugh, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
The guy's wife started to laugh, and it was just diffused instantly. You remember that?
Yeah.
Baker
How did
Square.
I forget?
Wow.
God almighty, what an incident.
What's really funny about this stuff, Derek, is that
Yep.
all these stories and all this crap. I mean, they're none of them are embellished at all. I mean, this is what happened, but I mean, people remember the story. This is 40 years ago.
Oh,
Over
it's
40 years ago. It's brought up to this day.
Yeah.
That story is brought up to this day.
Sure.
yeah, that pencil story. You know that, Derek?
No.
Oh God,
Derek,
tell them the pencil story.
Derek, you are so sheltered.
You have no idea, buddy. You have no idea. I mean,
Well, the pencil story, and this is made all the rounds, and I'm more famous for this for ever throwing a strike. But we're bowling in Indianapolis. I'm crossing with Mark Baker and Sam Macarone. I don't remember who the fourth guy is.
mm-hmm.
Huge house, 80 lanes. So there was a pair in use, blank pair in use, blank pair. So you didn't have to wait for anybody. You just had a bowl.
Yeah.
And I was going through a very bad time bowling. Every time I seemed like things would be going, I'd pinch one, and I started to lack a little confidence. But anyway, I would repeatedly leave the 610.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not the 6-pin, not the 10-pin, leave the 610.
Right.
And every time I threw it, as soon as it left my hand, I felt like one of them guys throwing them axes in them contests. Right? It's taking the 6 off. It's 63 feet away, and as soon as I let it go, if I have to go for a colonoscopy, you got to cancel it because nothing's going in there. That's how tight my rear end gets. It shuts. And I'm like, God, and it chops it. So anyway, I chop it early in the block. And then during the middle of a game, I chop it. And the third time I leave it, I remember I picked up a Brunswick Black Beauty I had, and I threw it as hard as I possibly could. And it went straight. It tumbled. And as God is my witness, the 6-pin and the ball went in the corner, and the 10 wasn't touched. Now, that sounds crazy, but if you ever go down and look at the pins and see the distance between, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I had to go instantly red. So red, like the sign up here that says live. It was that red.
Yeah.
And I come back and I grab the sheets. I was the first one done. I crumble them up. And I go over, I mark my score down. And I'm in the cash. I'm in the hunt to make the finals. And I'm doing this thing with despair. And we had the thicker pencils, and I put the pencil down by my side. Mark tells the story, but I didn't put the pencil between my fingers. I put it down by the side, and I snapped it down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was at least 6 feet, Charlie, to where the people were sitting.
Yeah.
At least 6 feet because there was the house ball racks, and they were elevated to people. And I snapped it straight down at my side, as God is my judge.
Mm-hmm.
And I start marking the scores down. Mark comes over and he puts his fingers by my up here, and he's Baker. Okay. And he just goes like this. He's touching me. He says, Hutch, you got to calm down. And honest to God, the F-bomb starts flying at Mark, and I love Mark. But I said, Mark, this isn't the time or the place. Get the F out of here. Leave me the F alone, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
He's just laugh. Macaron's hysterical. I'm thinking to myself, this is really pathetic. I'm dying, and I, it's like I'm auditioning for a comedy show. So anyway, we get to the next pair, and now they're really laughing at me. And I said, you guys really think this is effing funny? I don't think it's that funny, and Mark goes, no, you don't understand. When you broke the pencil, I broke the pencil, so what? He said it went down and it bounced backwards. So I went, yeah. He says, if you turn around, you see a guy looking at you, staring at you? Yeah. It hit the lady next to him between the eyes.
Oh.
I go, well, Derek, you got to see the distance. And I went, that's him. That's an F impossible. He goes, yeah? Why do you think he's staring at you? It was his wife.
Oh. So
I go over. I said, I got to go over. So I'm walking over, and the guy's, he's just, wow. And I come over, and I went like this. I said, my friends told me that when I broke that pencil, that inadvertently it came back and hit your wife, and he screams, you hit her between the eyes. Mm-hmm. And I look, and there's a black dot between her eyes, like if somebody made it with a needle. And I look, of course, I look over at Mark and Sam for a little bit of help. They're hysterical. Mm-hmm. So I said to the guy, well, so now common sense comes into play here. I was the one with it. This guy doesn't. But I said to him, you have to understand that I couldn't do that on purpose. I said, yeah, I didn't mean it. And he screams at me. He almost took her eye out. What the fuck? Okay, so I apologized a couple more times, and it's going nowhere. You ready? This is what I said to him. Hey, look, pal, if you think I'm going to blow you, you're out of your mind. I said, I'm sorry. And I walk away. And I come back, and they go like this. What you tell them? And I told them, now, macaroon's on the floor. It's hysterical. Okay? Minutes later, here comes Smitty. He's dancing down. Remember how he used to come down? He comes down, he goes like this. Hey, Bakes, Sammy, Hutchie, how you guys doing? Right? Mm-hmm. And I get him, and I have my back to the guys. Smitty's looking, and I got him face to face, and I explained the whole incident to him. Smitty's looking around my head, and he says, yeah, he's still looking at you. He's going like that, right? And after I said to him that I had apologize, before I could say anything else, Smitty goes, it seems like you did enough. What did the guy want you to do? Blow him? And now, so that diffused everything.
Yeah. Everything.
It was unbelievable. And Mark, we tell the story all the time, and it's the God's honest truth. I saw the dot between the lady's eyes.
Yeah.
And Mark said, of course, Mark goes like, it went through the air like, what's the movie with Keanu Reeves? The Matrix. He said it's floating through the air, and all of a sudden, bink. And he said it actually dangles there like a split second, then it falls off, right? But that's the God's honest truth. That's the guys, and that made the everywhere I go. Tell us about the pencil.
That's awesome.
But that's the truth.
So let me ask you guys this: growing up, what were your bowling goals? Because when you guys were growing up, I mean, I was the PBA a thought then? I know that it started in 1958, but what were you guys' bowling goals? You know, when you started bowling.
Well, like I said, I started when I was 8 years old, so that would have been 1959.
Okay.
And when the tour came on in the afternoon, everything in my house stopped. It was just myself, my mother, and my brother. Everything stopped. And I don't care if she was in the middle of laundry, doing laundry, whatever. It stopped, and we watched bowling.
Yep.
I mean, every stinking Saturday. And so after I can't remember how many times we watched it or whatever, but anyway, my mother said, you know, and she didn't have anything to do with sports, nothing, you know. And she said, I want to either buy you a set of golf clubs or a bowling ball. You take your pick. That's how it got started. And then I met my friend Skip, and his dad loved to bowl, and you know, that was in 1959.
I started to bowl in 1961.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my buddy Nino Marazzi went to the movies. They were closed.
Mm-hmm.
On the way back, he talked me into going to the bowling alley down the street. I was about 2 blocks from my house, and I didn't want to bowl. I never bowled before. He takes me down. Lucky me, I got 50 cents, 35 cents a game, and 15 cents for shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I bowled 54. It was like somebody put me on heroin.
Wow.
I absolutely loved it. And then, you know, you bowled. I got the junior league the next year, and I'm watching. Like I said, like Charlie said, I was there at the 3:30 in the afternoon to watch the PBA on ABC and watching and Bluth and Weber and all the guys and all the Hardwick, and it was amazing. And did I think about it? If I told you I didn't, I'd be lying. But you think about a lot of things, you know, and a lot, very, very few of them actually materialize.
Yeah.
And me and Charlie saw things materialize that at one time were so far away. We're so far away. And you know, it was crazy. My gym teacher up at the high school I went to, or the junior high, North Scranton, he was a great guy. His name was Bill Garrity.
Mm-hmm.
He said to me one day, we're down the tennis courts, and he was playing handball there, and I was playing racquetball or tennis. He says to me, you know, Hutch, it's amazing. He said, of all the guys I had at North Scranton, he said, and who went on to be a very good high school football player, who went on to be a very good high school baseball player. He said, you're the only guy that I've ever coached, he said, that went on to be a professional in an athletic, in a sport, and win.
Mm-hmm.
All the other guys, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he coached a guy named Vasindak, who went to Duke and then played for the Pittsburgh Pipers, and they won the ABA title one year. Steve Vasindak. I think he was at North for a couple of years, and then he went to a parochial school. But he was a great basketball player. He says to me, "You're the only." If he said that, he said, "We're the only 2 guys." And he had all these guys that were, you know, 9th and 10th grade. Charlie, great baseball player, 9th and 10th grade, great. You know, they're phenomenal. Yeah. And then as you go up, you know, the ocean gets bigger and bigger, and the fish get bigger and bigger. But I mean, he didn't even. I don't think Mr. Garrity could have averaged 120 if he bowled.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even see it as a sport. You know, it's just something that he would go and do with his kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah, it turned into a dream come true, pal. You know, really did.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same with me. I mean, it's just, I mean, if you would have told me that this was going to happen, oh shit, I would say you're crazy.
Yep.
You know, and like when I was in junior high school, I went to junior high school with Dave Winfield, and I mean, he was a phenomenal athlete. He loved to bowl. I bowled with him in a traveling league on Saturday afternoons. Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, he's had maybe a touch more success than I've had.
Oh, Winfield?
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, but you know, I mean, yeah, it's just, you know, I mean, I got to watch him play baseball all through high school and college, because he went through the St. Paul public school system, and then he went to the University of Minnesota, and I just, but
Yeah, he was drafted in all three sports.
yeah, yeah, he was drafted. The Vikings drafted him. He never played a down of football.
And basketball, some basketball team drafted him too.
Yeah. So it just, phenomenal. And I mean to see this, I mean when I sit back, I mean I remember the day my mother asked me. I remember that day like it was yesterday. Bowl of golf. And golf was a sissy game at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what people thought.
Not only that, the prize funds in golf were less than bowling.
Yeah.
Bowling was on national television in the early '60s. Golf, the Masters was on Sunday, the last 6 holes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why Stefanich picked.
Yes. Bellinger too.
Because there was more money.
Bellinger too.
Oh, really? Bellinger too?
Scott Bellinger?
Jeff
Bellinger, yeah.
Oh, Jeff. Yeah.
Jeff was a scratch golfer, but he, like he said, bowling was on TV and golf wasn't. He went to South Carolina or something. And I mean, Jeff's terrific athlete. I mean, he won on tour, but you got to see him hit a golf ball. What an exhibition he put on. He was terrific.
Oh, right. One knee, one leg.
Yeah.
One arm. I mean, it was crazy.
He's hitting the ball across the lake. Oh, wow. He was phenomenal.
So what did you guys accomplish that made you ready to try the tour? Like, what was your moment that said, okay, I'm going to go out, I'm going to try this, and I think I could be successful?
I don't know that the only reason I had even thought about it, I really at home, I never really won a whole lot of stuff at home, and, I had one guy told me, he says, it's just a rich man's folly. Yeah. Okay. Whatever, and, I had my cousin that lived in Oregon was in St. Paul, and we started talking, and he had a pretty good, irrigation business thing out in Oregon, and he had some money, and he said, if you want to go, I'll give you the money. All right. I had always worked in the auto parts business and stuff like that because I had raced and all that, and then I finally got out of that, and I tried selling insurance, but I ran out of friends in 2 months. So that was enough of that. That was enough of that career, And so anyway, he said, I'll give you the money if you want to go. I said, okay. So like a dumbass, I quit. I took all my money. I bought a motorhome, that's a whole nother show. And I bought a motorhome, went on bowled, and it was a disaster. It was an absolute freaking disaster, and actually the first tournament I ever bowled, I cashed. That was another disaster. I wish that never would have happened. But it was here in Battle Creek, 20 minutes from my house where I live. Okay. That's where my first PBA tournament was.
Yeah, but tell them the disaster, the motorhome was the night you left for the West Coast.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I'm waiting for the money to show up. And I wanted to leave on Monday because I'm supposed to go to the Vikings were playing the Rams in LA on Sunday in the playoffs. So there was another guy from St. Paul that was going out there, just Joel Hafner. I was going to meet him. So anyway, so I'm waiting for the money to get from my cousin. It's Monday, it's Tuesday, and now it's Wednesday. I've got to get the hell out of there because I got to be in LA, So I just leave. It's snowing. You can't see across the street. I'm leaving at 11 o'clock at night, right? So I get in this thing. The heat doesn't work with a shit. And it didn't. I left, and it didn't stop snowing until I got to the other side of Kansas City. And so when I got through Kansas City, I got to Wichita, and it was light out. It was halfway warm out, so I stopped for gas. And I'm going to stay in this trailer park. And so anyway, the kid at the gas station, was putting the gas in, and I said, "Can you fill up the tank with water?" He goes, "Yeah, sure." So I go to the can. I come out, and he goes, "Sir," he says, he said, "I think you got a problem." I go, "Well, what's that?" I look underneath, and all the water is on the ground. So this can't be good. He goes, "Well," I said, "there's something with the water tank." I said, "Yeah, well, okay." So he sends me to this campground, take a shower, but anyway, so I get to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I got to get this thing fixed. So I get to this car dealership or the place that fixes the motorhome. It's about 3:00 in the afternoon. So I tell the guy I'm going on tour and all that. They think I'm this famous Pro Bowler, and I'm some schmuck that cashed one time and can't hit my ass with both hands. So anyway, he goes in. He's tearing the thing apart. I got a block of ice in the tank. So he's trying to. There's this metal plate on there. It's got, I don't know, 20 screws on it or whatever. They can't get the last screw up. And he's pissing and moaning. He's swearing and everything. And he grabs the thing. His hand slips. Takes his finger off about here. and it's gone. Yeah, it's like laying over in the corner. So I'm like, shit, I'm going to be here all goddamn day. So they put this tank in. And I don't know what it cost me. Yeah, you got to remember this is 1980 or 1979. It'll cost me $150 or whatever it was. Then I get the Phoenix, and the tire blows off the thing, and it was just an absolute disaster. So,
okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm lucky to be alive. But that was terrible.
That's great.
Hutch, what about you? What did you do? What did you accomplish that made you say, okay, I'm going to try the tour and I'm going to be all right?
Pardon, Derek, say it again.
What did you accomplish that made you say, I'm going to try the tour and I think I could be successful?
Well, we used to have pot games in our area. We didn't have action like they had in New York, like heads up stuff.
Right.
And I was the high average guy in the area, or working my way to that.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys, and he was a good friend. He was a real ball breaker. His name was Ross Caruso. God bless him. He was a terrific boy. But he was tough to compliment anybody. And if rubber balls, so if you didn't throw the ball like between the second and third arrow and go out right at 10 and break it back, then you belong bowling in the ladies' league. He saw only guys throw hooks and the ladies throw the ball straight.
Mm-hmm.
So the gutter shows up at this one house. One afternoon, I'm bowling with my two buddies, and they just put new pins in, and I got back-to-back 279 games off the edge, right off the edge of the lane, with a Ebonite Ray Bluth signature bowling ball, which is just a rubber ball.
Yeah.
He's in the back. He owned 2 or 3 dress factories, and he comes in the back, and he starts really getting on me about being outside where the ladies are and get in here where the men are. And I, like I said, I got pretty good when it came to talking back. In about 6-7 minutes, I turned it around to where I was breaking his balls big time. And there was a bunch of guys playing pool in the back. There were some money ball games going. Everybody knew everybody. And he turned around and they were all looking at him. And he says to me about, do you want me to go back to my work and get my bowling ball? I says, no, you don't have to go. I'll call you a cab. And man, he hit the ceiling. Gets in his car, goes back, comes back to me, goes back in the lanes. And my buddy says to me, he goes, Hutch, you're not going to bowl him, right? Yeah, I was a little scared because I never bowled anybody like a heads up, anybody for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I tell you what, it was only started out as a kidding. I'm going to try to diffuse the situation and see where it goes. Honest to God, I was going to try to talk it out. I'll never forget the lady behind the counter was a lady named Barbara Hughes. I can still hear them tearing the sheet off Charlie. And he gets the sheet, he walks by, he says to me, 5 and 6, he says, let's go. So we go down to 5 and 6. Now Friday, this was on a Monday. On a Friday night, I had bowled a sweep, a doubles tournament up there with a 7-in-a-row jackpot. I had hit the 7 in a row. My partner and I won the tournament. Guess what? I got about $225 on me. Mm-hmm. I feel like, I'm a millionaire. The jackpot was $175. We got $45 for first place and whatever, and I cashed out another spot, right? I got all this money. And he says, we're talking. My two buddies come down. One of them was Mike Godowski. The other guy's name was Jack Slavinsky. We come down and they're going to keep scoring. And my dad was still alive at the time. It was before I went in the military. And anyway, he says to me, what do you want to bowl for? I said, well, he said, listen, I don't want to bowl for that much that your father comes up and accuses me of stealing off you. I said, wow. So Ready? We bowled for $5 a game and $10 total, $25. I never bowled for that kind of money, but I never bowled a guy heads up, and I never bowled a guy that was in the top tier of our area. I don't know how many times I kept score for him, and every time the game was close, he'd strike out. I mean, this guy was terrific. So we start, and I'm on the edge, and he's where he is. And the 10th frame, if I get the strike on the first ball, he can't beat me. And I throw a terrible shot. I can't let it go when I get to the foul, and I'm so nervous. And I get lucky, I leave the 3-pin. And I make it. I throw the ball down, and I get 9, whatever. He needs a double to beat me. There isn't a doubt in my mind that he's going to double, and the match is going to be over. He's going to crush me. I'm going to go home with my tail between my legs. And this guy of impeccable form, impeccable, every time, leg over here, follow through by his head. He goes up, fell off the shot, and his hands crisscrossed.
No.
He leaves the 1-2-4-8. You know what I said? He's more nervous than I am. He was more nervous than I was.
Wow.
And it's sort of something in me flipped, because the next game I had the first 7, and the next game I had the first 7.
Mm-hmm.
And now the third game, he's trying to tell me how good I'm throwing it. I don't want to hear it. I'm in his face. And I wind up with a 190 start. I wind up with 720. He bowls 550. And he's takes his ball. He's looking at his ball in the rack. And I got the $50, and I dropped it on the table. I said, double or nothing right now. You want to go? And he said to me, no. And at that moment, something clicked in me that you have to have when you go on tour. You have to love coming up in the 10th frame, and you need a double.
Yep.
You have to. I was okay with bowling team event, because if I didn't, there was 4 guys behind me. This was just on me. And I saw this guy, who I never saw buckle. I saw him buckle, and it just changed my whole outlook. Of course, I went in the military after that. I came out, and then I started. I in a very small pond in North Scranton, northeastern Pennsylvania. I became the top guy, and I couldn't get a nickel behind me because my temper was like a volcano. And finally, this gentleman named Sam Lomeo, who passed away a couple of years ago, approached me, and he came up with $5,000, and he sponsored me for the first 8 years, and we never put another dime in. So I guess I did okay. I did okay, and then I went on my own. But then the surgeries and the arm went fritz, and within a couple of years, I was done. I was done.
All right.
But
what was your best moment on tour, gentlemen?
Best moment on tour?
Mm-hmm.
Well, best moment on tour, but there's 2 of them. Best moment on tour was bowling with Dick Weber, but the best winning is the best.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one, there was no show, so I couldn't lose it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was in Peoria, and it was the big splash because we had all the time after, and I got to talk. Mm-hmm. People found out I could talk, and all of a sudden I was speaking at Hall of Fame dinners and everything. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
But the third tournament I won was with Tommy Baker, and Tommy and I were rooming together, and we had made the finals the year before, and we were alternate once, and it's so rewarding winning with somebody else, because you realize that you help each other. And Tommy and I, really, the chemistry between us was great, really great. And he could, of all the bowlers on tour, when we were out there, if you said to somebody, give me the name of the person who throws the ball the slowest and strikes the most, there's only one name, and that was Tommy Baker. I was so jealous of Tom's game, and I don't mean this being, because, and Charlie, you'll tell me if you agree with this. At the end of the block, Tommy still looked like he was warming up. You remember how easy he threw it?
Oh yeah.
We'd be might be tired, might not be tired. He just was always out for a walk in the park and just go up and let it go.
Mm-hmm.
We made the finals 4 times, and we won once, alternate once, and then we were 16th once and 11th or 12th once. But that win with him, and we beat Earl and Bo. I mean, we had 4 titles between us. They had 40.
Mm-hmm.
And when a Tommy came up in the 10th frame, the game was over. They couldn't beat us. No matter if Tommy threw two in the gutter, they couldn't win. And that was so. The feeling was unbelievable, unbelievable. I won again after that, but it wasn't like that feeling like that this partnership.
Yeah.
That was great. That was great.
What about you, Charlie? What was your best moment on tour?
Probably. I mean, the thing with Earl obviously was terrific, but winning in Hartford after coming back from all kinds of shit that happened, in my personal life and stuff like that, and my brother passed away. I went through a divorce, and just there was just 3 years. It was terrible. And so, I mean, I wanted to quit and everything. And my wife, Marla, said, no, you got to keep going. Then we get to Hartford, and like the thing with Schlegel and the thing with the entry fee, or at the Firestone and all this stuff like that. And it's like, holy shit, I ended up winning. It's just, and I was behind every game. I won every game in the 10th for the most part. Won every game in the 10th. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I watched that show. I probably only seen it, 50, 60 times, but but I watched it, I watched that and I'm like, how the hell did I ever win this thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how I won that. I mean, I'm looking and all of a sudden, I needed a strike and I got it. And everybody talks about, the Brooklyns against Cook. And they were all on one lane because the lane just blew out. And I'm not trying to do that. But the right lane, I struck every goddamn time. And I just couldn't do anything on the left lane. And and Mark Williams came up to me at Firestone. And he said, Charlie, he said it's such bullshit. How the people are. I mean, there was no social media or anything like that at that time either. But just the shit that people. Hey, I don't care. I don't give a shit. I mean, that's just, that just happened. And I get to the Firestone, and Steve Cook's stuff is next to mine. And I get there, and of course, and he's 6'6" and weighs 290, and you don't want to get him steamed. And anyway, so I look at him, I go, "Are you pissed at me?" He goes, "Charlie," he said, I threw 6 Brooklyns to beat Earl at Garden City.
Yeah, I remember that.
He said, "No." He said, "Not in the least." He's, I mean, if he did that to me, I wouldn't be mad at you. Right. I mean, you're disappointed you lost, but you got no control over. You got no control over that stuff. Right. What happens. But. So.
By the way, Joe, thank you for your service.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And Charlie, did you serve Charlie?
No, sir, I did not.
No, his brother did.
My brother did, yeah. My brother did 3 tours in Vietnam.
Yeah. Okay. What was your worst moment on tour?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
I think we covered. Did we cover it? I hope we didn't. But
no, we didn't.
All right, cool.
Oh my God, there's so many to choose from.
Get a hat, draw names.
Oh boy. Probably. Oh Jesus. Probably. Oh my God. I don't even know. I don't even know. I mean.
While you're thinking, my lowest moment, 111 in the finals, right? Top 24. Mark Baker, we're rooming together. He's following me. I got, you might have been studying templates that week. Anyway, you're carrying all the paraphernalia, the balls, the sheet, your sheet. It's crazy. And the first game I had bowled 220-something and 1. So the lady, they put it up in black. Then 230-something and 1. Third game I'm bowling Pete McCordick. I'm right-handed. He's right-handed, obviously. And obviously the pair was difficult because I had 102 in the 9th. And Pete had the first 9. Mm-hmm. Mark Baker says to me, "Do you realize if he strikes out and you open, you go into the record book for the biggest margin of losing?" I said, "What the frick?" Because the biggest margin was Larry Lobb against a guy named Mark Estes, 290, to 112, 118 pins. And I said, and I know Mark, so he says to me, Hutch, if he gets the first one, if he gets the first one, he said, you got to throw in the gun. And Mark said, you got to get your name in the record book. Shut up. I'm going, right? So Pete comes up, throws the first ball high, 4-7, makes a spare, 278. Now I've already got 102. So I'm not going to get beat by 170, whatever, 178 pins. Right? I try as hard as I can to get a mark in the 10th. I come up light. I leave the 278. I throw the ball to spare. The 2 pin goes around the 7 pin to the left, and the 8 pin goes behind in the back. 1-1-1. I pack up my stuff. I go to the next pair. Lady scorekeeper puts 220 black, 230 black, 1-1-1 in just crimson red.
Oh my God.
Lady sitting behind the thing says to her husband, "Oh look, they made a mistake." They said it's for 111. I looked and I said, "You're right. They did make a mistake. The score is wrong. But what they forgot to do was put the roof on the outhouse and put the half moon over the middle." And the lady started laughing. But 111. And the next game I bowled 220 some and won.
Oh,
So
man.
the 90 bonus pins, all they did was get me even with 111. Oh, Jesus Christ. That got it fine.
Well, you know, that record was crushed in 2011 with Mika and Tom Doherty, though. I mean, that was
299 to 100. Yeah.
yeah. So, all right. So let's see here. How many bowling balls did you carry on tour with you guys?
Maybe 10, 10, 12.
How many did you carry when you first, Charlie? How many did you carry when you first went out?
Really?
When I first went out, I think I had 6.
Yeah, I first went out with 4, 2 double bags.
Yeah, I had 6 when I first went out.
Wow. So, and you felt like you had to do that because weren't the conditions always, the balls were all the same, weren't they?
Well, you got to
I mean,
understand.
you had a couple of yellow dots, you had
Yes.
a couple of white dots, and a couple of rubber balls.
Sure. Okay.
That was it. You didn't
I
need
went-
more than that, really.
I went out with 2 yellow dots. Excuse me. I went out with 2 yellow dots. I went out with a green white dot that durometered at 80, which I don't know why. And I had a Manhattan rubber ball.
Okay.
Yeah, my first tournament in Battle Creek, I go into the paddock and they're checking in the balls at night, you know. So I'm getting in line and I don't know anybody. I this first tournament I've ever been at. So there's Litchie sitting at a table, and the table's got a hole in it with a metal detector. And I put the balls up there and so I give him the ball and I said, "What do you got a metal detector for?" He goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, because these guys cheat." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I said, why do you have a metal detector?" Oh, mercury, barium,
Yep.
you know, pennies, lead, you know, who knows? I said, "You shit me?" He goes, "No." Right? So it was chaos. So he's checking this stuff in, and Tim Cornelio, remember him, Hutch?
Absolutely.
Tim Cornelio is selling bleeders out of a van for $75.
Yeah.
And Mike Berlin is selling AMF, the AMF Sure-D, or what AMF.
No, the AMF ball that was a yellow dot, the Velvet Touch.
Yeah, he's selling them out of his van for $100.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, this is like I'm like in an auction. It's crazy. I said, "Oh my God, the thing's beeping and the guys are selling. I got this." Oh my God, it was nuts. But what the hell am I getting myself into? You know. But yeah, it was crazy.
Yep.
But like my worst, the thing you're talking about, the worst thing on tour was I went 1-15 the last day at the Firestone. Oh God! Oh man! Yeah, I was like, I qualified.
It happened.
Yeah, I qualified good. You know, the night before I went 5-3. Yeah, won 1-15.
You remember the dinner? Remember the dinner after the tournament champions dinner, and then you come over and bowl the Celebrity Press Pro-Am?
Yeah.
All right. Wow. I go in. I've never been to the dinner. It's my first time in the finals. And you walk in, and they have the hors d'oeuvres out, Charlie.
Yeah.
Derek, they had filet mignon on skewers.
Okay.
They had oysters and clams on the shelf. It was unbelievable. I ate till I couldn't move.
Sure.
But then I had to go in for the dinner. They opened the double doors and you went in and all them stations were there with the ice statues.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go over and bowl. I can't breathe. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
So I bowl in there. Now there's only trophies awarded. I'm falling asleep between frames. This the God's honest truth. And I got now I have my bowling shirt on, and I bowled like 460 for the 3 games. I was lucky I bowled that. And I remember I was picking up the ball to leave the 3rd game, and the guy says, "Who was your pro the last game?" The guy goes, "The hell if I know." And anyway, after the pro-am, you go over and shake the guy's hand. And my pleasure bowling. Pleasure bowling with you. One guy looked at me. He said, "You got your name on your shirt?" He says, "That's got to be a lie." He goes,
Wow.
I bowled like 458 or something. Jeez, I couldn't even breathe.
Yeah.
Oh God.
The worst moment I had as a PBA bowler was at a regional, and I like I say I'd just been going through so much hell, So anyway, you're bowling a regional. It was here in Michigan, in Belleville, and so anyway, but we're bowling a pro-am. It's a no-tap pro-am, right? Okay. First game, I shoot 158.
No tap?
Yeah, shoot 158, right? So anyway, I'm following Gary Hyde.
I know him.
So I'm following Gary Hyde. And I go over to his pair, and he goes, "Charlie," he said, "this pair is tougher." I go, "This can't be any tougher." 135.
Oh, man.
So I got one.
That's beautiful.
I got 158, 135, and it's no tap.
Yep.
It's no tap.
Yeah.
Right? So I shoot 465 no tap.
And shaking everybody's hand. My pleasure to cost you $1,000.
Yep. Yeah. Wow.
So I bowled the tournament and shoot. It's two. It was 2 6-game blocks. I shoot 280 under for the 6, and I'm lucky to have that, right? And I go, and it's this is the first time this ever happened. So Dan Ottman, God rest his soul, he's the tournament director in the Sun.
Yeah. I remember Dan.
Right? He comes up and he goes, "Charlie," he said, "Are you sick?" And I said, "Well, no." He goes, "No." He goes, "No, really? Are you ill?" And he goes, "Well, I don't feel very good." No, he goes. He said, I said, "Well, why?" He goes, "Do you want to bowl the next block?" And I said, "No, I don't. I'm very ill." I said, he goes, "Okay, well, I'm going to let you." The tournament director basically threw me out of the tournament. Said, "Bowl like shit." He goes, "How come you haven't practiced?" I said, "Dan, I practiced 5 days a week for the last month."
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "That's impossible." He goes, No. That's how it was." And I said, "Okay, I'm leaving." So then I stopped bowling for I don't know how many months. I didn't even bowl. I said, "The hell with it." 465 and a no tap pro-am.
That's something I would figure out how to do. I mean, my God.
Oh shit.
So I know who Dan Ottman is because of Satellite Dish. I used to watch Michigan Majors tournament bowling. It would be Larry O'Brien, Lee Snow, Dan Ottman had one of the bowling tips or whatever.
Charlie, you remember Dave Bash?
I do. Yeah.
He passed away. That.
I heard that.
Okay. Well, anyway, we were bowling Towson, Maryland. The scores were horrible, but we're bowling a pro-am. Derek, it was a sea of bowling balls on the floor. Everybody had the Don Johnson 2-ball totes. So when you came in, and I'm not exaggerating, you literally walked on bowling balls. There was a slight path here or there.
Sure, yep.
There was a pinball machine in the thing. So when Goose would come in, remember, he'd go, it's cues up and quiet time, tilt him or whatever, right? Scores were horrible. Anyway, Dennis Sueda, big guy from Tempe, Arizona, I believe. Dennis made a bunch of shows. He comes in 6'4", about 230, and he bangs the balls down, and Goose is calling roll. And he is fuming. So he's cursing, and Goose goes, "Dennis." I said, "Quiet." He looks at him, and he continues to curse. goes, Dennis, what I tell you? And he starts walking at Goose. And Goose, all of a sudden, he gets 6 feet away and he sees the look in his eyes. And Goose starts to get a little panicky. He said, I just bowled 420. He said, and you have the audacity to give the amateurs 3 free strikes. He says, they're throwing the ball at the head pin. We're throwing the ball at the pocket. He said, you want us to look like gods? You want us to look like we're unbelievable out there? I want you to wall every pro-am up. You know where you wall them up from? The crack, the edge, or 20.
Mm-hmm.
And make the second arrow unplayable. He says, and we'll see what happens. And he was going on. So Dave Bash comes in. And he's pitching and throwing things. And Goose goes, what's the matter with you? I'm sitting on a bench and a guy comes up with a program. And he says to me, who's the pro on the pair? I said, I am. I got my name on my shirt. He looked at my score. He said, no, you're not the pro. There's got to be another guy. Right. And he said there was a guy outside one of the pros that shot like 410 or 4-0. It was absolutely crazy. But Dave Bash roomed with Keith Craycraft. And I saw Keith somewhere or talked to him. And I said, whatever happened to Dave after he left the tour? You ready for this? He said, Hutch, what happened to Dave is one of the great ironies of life. He said he now works painting bridges. Yeah. He goes, yeah. So he went from leaving buckets to carrying buckets. I said, that was very apropos. And that's what he did. And then I heard that he passed. Derek, you got to know this. The board at one time was so antiquated. Dave Bash used to do the board by himself. 24 names, little stick-on letters, and changing numbers, like sliding things in and out.
Yep.
Used to do them all. Only one guy would be on the thing. First it was Soper, then it was you. It was you. You were steady templates. You remember you were putting it on. You were putting them on the overhead scores. You weren't going up on the ladder.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Bash used to do that whole thing by himself, and then come back and do all the scores. That was absolutely amazing. But when Charlie was doing steady, Soper left. Charlie got promoted, and you got paid. You got paid for doing that.
You got paid for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I got paid for doing that. And then Charlie made a couple finals or something. He bowled pretty good for a while. And then he comes back and Goose says something to him. And Charlie goes, am I still steady templates? Of course. And the guy who was doing it got demoted. You went back to steady templates. He remembered the seniority order.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. That's
Harry Golden.
Yeah.
Wow. He hit the same guy 3 times in 2 blocks, driving a car. Stefanich and Salvino and McEwen were in I think McEwen, but it's Stefanich and Carmen were in the car with him 3 times in 2 blocks. He hit the same guy, rear-ended the same guy. And Harry Golden, God.
Golden, is he still around or no?
Harry passed a long time ago.
Long time ago. Is Steffi still around?
Yeah. Steffi's still alive.
Yeah, Steffi's still around. Don McEwen is still around. Of course, Carmen is.
Yeah. I'm trying to get those guys. I emailed Carmen. Try to get
Gunther just died a couple years ago. Buckley died last year. Flanagan's still around.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have Asher on yet? Barry Asher?
I'm working on it.
He's and if you get Barry and you get Johnny Petraglia, Larry Lichstein, the stories are phenomenal. They were out 10 years before we were.
I got to work on it. You think they would come on? You think Johnny would do
it?
I know it's done.
Litchie talks. Litchie could talk the ears off a wooden Indian. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Beautiful man. And did you get Ernie?
You know what?
If you get Ernie, don't get a second guy.
Let me tell you. No. Hold on. I got to tell you something. Actually, I'm gonna tell you. I did get Ernie. How long do you think the podcast was?
A day.
4 hours.
Well, he was only warming up. He's beautiful.
So funny thing, right? You know how I write these list of questions and stuff like that. So it's kind of like how this was. He's talking for an hour, and we were gonna do it. We were gonna do it on a Saturday, and he says, "Hey, can we do it on a different day? I still want to get my notes ready." I'm like, "Notes? What are you? I'm the one asking you the questions." But okay.
I watched that whole thing, by the way.
Did you really?
I did. I watched it all. He had all these notes written, and he's reading off the notes.
Yeah.
He's hysterical. He is hysterical.
So I wrote, see, when I started this podcast, I wanted to talk to my heroes. As a matter of fact, before I interviewed Parker, I was going to take this a different way and just give my opinions on stuff. But when I interviewed Parker, I was like, after that interview, I said, Jesus, you know what? Maybe that's how I need to do this. I wonder who else would talk to me. So I asked a bunch of guys and I got a lot of yeses, more yeses than nos. I did get a few nos. Ozio said no, and PA said no, which is fine, whatever. Pete Weber said, give me 20 minutes or whatever. You know, you can't really do a good podcast in 20 minutes. But, you know, that's why I wanted to interview like all these guys that have past, present, everybody in between. And I'm buddies with Andrew Pfeffer, and he does his bowling with the Pfeff, and I think you guys should be on there if you haven't been. I'd like to put
Charlie was in.
Yeah,
I was on. Yeah,
I would like to put you in touch with him, but you know, and then you know, I talked with Ernie. Ernie is the nicest guy ever. He really kind of is. When I watched the Solid 8 thing, I thought, geez, you know, Ernie's kind of a jerk or whatever. But then when you sit down and really talk to Ernie, that guy is as wholesome as apple pie, and I mean, what a good guy he is.
When you talked to Ernie about Randy leaving the Solid 8, and Ernie's running around saying, I can't believe it. You know what he meant? He told me, he says, you know how many times, PBA Hutch, that I've been sitting on the bench? He says, and I'm bowling, and I leave the Solid 8 to lose. I leave the Solid 8 to lose. So he said, when I struck out and made him show up, made him get the first one, and as good as he threw it, and that happened, he said, it was the first time that he could remember in recent years that it went the other way.
It
went the other way. Like, you know, Ernie would say, if I strike out, I force the guy to mark. I Solid 8 in the 10th. Now he doesn't have to do anything.
Right.
It went the other way. But if you listen to him in the end when he goes, Muhammad Ali, I don't know where that came from.
Right.
But he goes, Muhammad Ali. If you listen to it, my God, that's beautiful.
Are you guys doing all right? You want me to wrap this up, or are you good?
What day is it?
Monday. No. Hutch, did you see that? Did you see that interview that I did with Ernie?
No.
Okay. Charlie, you did. Now, Hutch, you're going to laugh your ass off at this. One of the questions that I asked Ernie, I said, if Randy Peterson knocks on your door on Thanksgiving Day because he has nowhere else to go. Now, Randy's got plenty of places to go. I mean, this is Randy Peterson we're talking about. I said, if Randy knocks on your door because he has no place to go for Thanksgiving dinner, do you welcome him in? He goes, well, he's got to congratulate me on beating him. He hasn't done that yet. And I said, okay. So, yeah, I don't know, Randy, man, I love you to death, but I think that's one thing you should do. You don't want to ever.
Yeah, he still hasn't.
He never said to Ernie, nice going.
No, I don't think so.
No.
In
fact, he was. He was on another podcast somewhere, Derek, and
several.
That was brought up, and because of the way Ernie acted, he's not going to congratulate him.
Yeah, you know.
I get it, but I don't. It's like, here's the thing, right? If Ernie's he's closer to the end of his life than the beginning, and if I just for me, I like Randy as a person, but I would love for him to not have any regrets. I think he should, just so that he doesn't sit around one day. Jesus, I wish I could tell Ernie congratulations. I get where he's coming from, but I get the other side too.
Yeah.
The bad thing, Derek, is that we're at a point. Charlie and I are at a point in our lives where I had a friend of mine here, Jerry Kyrus, that I graduated high school with. We were friends all through ever. When I won in Peoria, he sent me a letter congratulating me. It was Captain Jerry Kyrus in the United States Marine Corps. He went on to be a full bird colonel. Every reunion that I was at, he was there, and we always sat and talked the whole time. And I was always saying to my wife, Nikki, I should call Jerry on a Saturday night. Me and a couple other guys, we call him, we go out to eat. Yeah. Well, I see him walking by in the street one day. Hi, hey, Hutch, what's up? I see him. All of a sudden, a couple of days after the last time I said that to Nikki, every morning I get up, and I never understood why my mother did this, but now I do. And I go through the obituaries, and his name is in pictures there. And I go out, and my wife's just pulling out for work, and I knock on the window, and I said, "You remember me telling you about Jerry and going in?" She goes, "Yeah." I showed her my phone, and I went, "It's too late. It's too late now." So I had a friend of mine just pass away 2 weeks ago Sunday. Rick
Sorry for your
Gannon,
loss.
his name was. He was a terrific bowler. And he died in a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. But I got up to see him on Friday, and his sister called me later and said he was so ecstatic that I went up to see him. And we talked for 40 minutes. We'd have talked for longer, but they had to take him to dialysis. He came back in the room. He didn't feel good. He put him in the hospital. He caught pneumonia in the hospital because both viral and pneumococcal, whatever the two forms of pneumonia are in hospitals. He caught pneumonia in the hospital.
Yep.
His heart was only at 30%. I saw him on Friday afternoon. 48 hours later, he was dead. And I mean, but I'm so happy that I got to see him. I mean, we were under the impression that he was quarantined and we couldn't see him. You know, Charlie, and I finally sitting around the lanes one Friday afternoon, a couple Friday afternoons, and I said to the one waitress at the lanes, I said, I should go up and see if I can see this guy. If I don't go that day and I go Saturday, I never see him again.
Yeah.
I never see him. And he sat up. He was, both legs off beneath the knee, blind in one eye, going blind in the other eye. God love him when he went through. And for him to be, I mean, the way his sister told me, he said he was absolutely beside himself with joy. And then Sunday afternoon, I get a call from her, and I sort of knew what the call was about, but that's how she started, was him calling her, and how gracious, how nice it was of me. And then all of a sudden, I said to her, "Louise, is there anything else here you want to tell me?" And then she told me, and I went, "Oh my God, my God, that was terrible." But hey,
I'm really sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you, Derek. Ricky, he was do I wish if Charlie and I, if we can go back and you say, would you rather play tennis or golf or ball, because they say about the money, right? I mean, I don't think I'd do it any other way. I mean, I grew up in a bowling alley in a pool room. I got an education from guys who none of them graduated high school, and they all raised families and were all successful because they had street sense and common sense. And you can't get that at Harvard. I mean, I've been in some bad places in my life that I shouldn't have been there, and I've been in some bad places that I had no control of, and I just seem to have the ability to blend in and not. Here, Bobby Jacks. You don't remember him, do you, Charlie? Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
Bobby Jacks.
I know the name. Yep.
Bobby Jacks won 3 tournaments, I believe, but he went back to back in New England in the late '60s. And he was kind of affiliated with an undesirable element in New Orleans, and I think he had something to do with collecting money or whatever. But he was, anyway. I was a pretty good pool player one time, and he says to me one day in this accent, he says, "Hey, Hudgy, I hear you're a pretty good pool player, that Cajun stuff." And I said, "Yeah, I'm all right. We're talking. We're in New Orleans." And he takes me to play pool against some guy in about an hour and 20 minutes away in some little town, I think in the panhandle of Alabama, where and little town. And we walk in, and Bobby knew the guys. I don't know why. And we wind up playing 9-ball. And we start out at like $10 a game. And the guy was pretty good. And but I was beating him. I was a time I could play pretty good. Because they had 3 guys here and a guy over here, and me and Bobby. And Bobby's keeping a tally sheet of the game. Well, it goes from $10 a game to 20, and 20 to 25, and then it gets to 50. And they're trying to catch up. And I got the guy's number. I mean, I'm really, really playing good. I'm playing good. And fortunately, I'm playing a guy that isn't as good as me. Pool's a funny game.
Yep.
Jimmy Rempe, one of the greatest pool players of all time, from Scranton, Pennsylvania, ranked number 1 in the world at one time, watched me play pool. And one day he says to me, I was going on tour. I said, I'd take my pool cue. And he said to me, "Hutch," he says, "I think you could beat 80% of the pool players beat 80%. Don't worry about them. It's the 20% that you can't beat that you got to know immediately. So this guy here, I watched him play. I thought he made some silly mistakes. I thought I played him good. We were playing a different kind. Anyway, I get him up to where he owes me over $2,000. Right, $100 a game. That don't take too long. And we played from 10:30, 11 o'clock at night till about 4 in the morning. Mm-hmm. So we get done. The guy says that's enough, and the guy breaks his stick, and I break mine. And Bobby goes over with the tally, and it was whatever, 21 something. And the guy says to Bobby, he says, Bob, I forgot to tell you, we weren't playing for money. We were just playing, practice. And Bobby starts, here's the truth now. Bobby starts F this, F that, blah, 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 boom, bang, one of their, $2,100 isn't a lot of money, but it all depends who you're taking it off.
That would break me. That would absolutely break me.
And this guy over here, I'm only 7 or 8 years out of Vietnam, getting called out of the field because my father died.
Mm-hmm.
This guy over here, it's a 38 caliber pistol on the table, not a pool table, on the table. And I think to myself, I told John Gaines the story. He said, am I going to die in this pool hall over $2,100? And Bobby's arguing, calling him all these names. And I remember I said to Bob, I tell you what, look, we got to go. We got to bowl in the morning. Forget about it. I said, you guys got the time? You guys pick up the time? The guy says, yeah. And Bobby had, he needed 2 chairs to sit down. He had a big set of clowns on, right? And we're talking. And we walk out and I get in the car and and I told Bob about the gun. Yeah, I saw it. He was only bluffing. Really, Bob. Was he? People don't even know we were there. Mm-hmm. Who knows how desperate people are? Because we had money to cover. We had over $1,000 on us to cover if we lost. Mm-hmm. We were going to pay. And I remember telling a couple guys about it. One guy said to me, you never go anywhere with him. You never go anywhere with him. And I never went with him. I talked to him, no hard feelings. I talked to him and everything, but he never came up and asked me to do that again, and I wouldn't have gone. But I'm 9 years or 8 years out of hearing live ammo go by you. Mm. And now this guy over here puts a gun on the table, over $2,100, 21,000 maybe, 210,000 for sure, not $2,100. Mm-hmm. I mean, take us out and beat us up, do whatever. I mean, you're gonna. We'll get a couple shots in, but I mean that's a bad way to put it. We'll get a couple licks in, but I mean it was crazy. I mean and I remember driving back and we got there and I think I was rolling bakes and he asked me how'd you do? I says we did okay. We broke even and here I'll give you a good one. Tommy Baker, mm-hmm. Charlie, you don't remember this? You weren't out yet. Me, him, Tommy Laskow, and Pete Couture are eating at a Ruth Chris steakhouse. Never saw one before. We're eating in New Orleans. It was unbelievable. So we're going to go over to bowling alley to bowl later. And we start bowling and I bowled. I must have bowled about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And I was sweating like a bear. You remember how I sweat. And I quit. And Tommy's just, you throwing a scarlet white down. I'll never forget as long as I live. He's just throw it, come back, pick it up, walk up through it. So we go over there. The trivia, the video machines had just come out, and they had the trivia game, and we were playing me, John Edelberg. He was the assistant tournament director. A couple other guys. We each got like $2 worth of quarters, and we were putting them in, trying to break the record, trying to see if we could go undefeated or on with the all right answers. And all of a sudden, I look, and it's about an hour later, hour and a half later. We got to get up the next day to bowl. So I go over to Pear, and Charlie, if you see Bakes, ask him this. I think I told you this, but there is a great one. Mm-hmm. And yeah. I said, I'm looking over, and it's Tommy. I said to this lady, what's up? And she goes like, shh, he's on 26 or whatever it was in a row. Whatever the number is, it's crazy. And I went to the lady, he's got to stop. We got to bowl. Shh. He's on 20. He's going like this, right? So he throws the ball, gets another strike, and no one's saying, there's no applause. And he's not, I don't know if he's aware of it. So I come through the crowd, and Tommy tells you it's funny, but I mean, Tommy's like, even then he's with the hand, trying to get the hand in the ball. Gets the hand in the ball, gets it up here, and I said to him, Tom, He turns around and looks at me, and I look at the lady. I take my index finger, and I go like this to the ball, as God is my judge. I touch it, and I said to her, throw it. Bucket, we're out of here. The lady called me everything. Guys didn't know what happened. And Tom just turned around. And I said, come on, we got to go. Okay. I went back to the room. Lasco I left, Couture left. But I said, so I just touch it, throw it, bucket. And you tell Tommy that, and Tommy always goes like this. Oh, you mean this one? And he goes like that. Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. How about Larry Matthews, Charlie?
Oh, geez.
Derek, you didn't know Larry Matthews, did you?
Nope.
Oh,
Larry Matthews traveled with me, Charlie, Bakes, and John Cacci. And I'm going to tell you what. We loved him. We broke his chops, his balls every chance we got him, because we were the only guys out on tour that really befriended him. Mm-hmm. He was he had polio and what else, Charlie? MS, MD, what do you?
Yeah.
He had polio and MS at the same time. If everybody who bowled on tour had what he had, he'd have been the best in the world.
Yeah.
I think he won 2 regionals. He had, I don't know how many 300 games and 800 series. And there's one stretch that I went out in the summer. I bowled a national and I came home. He bowled the 8 or 7 week swing in the summer. I think he had 5 checks and 3 of them were finals. And this was I can't even tell you how he labored to throw the ball. But anyway, he's out there with us, and man, we are just torturing him. I mean, it's just wow. And he loved it. He was such a bull thrower, and Charlie would always play the part where, like, he didn't believe it, and I would always play the part where, what do you mean? It's obvious. It's obvious he drove a AA fuel dragster. It's obvious that he taught John Travolta how to dance. It's obvious that he beat Bruce Lee. He beat Bruce Lee in karate. It's obvious that he played for the San Francisco Seals with Joe DiMaggio. Name it, he did it, right? Yeah. And these guys, him and Koch, would be like, Banks wouldn't say anything. He'd be like, and I'd be in his corner. And then a lot of times we'd switch. I'd say, get out of your foot shit. Try to go, no. And he'd show us how to throw a curveball. And he had hands like catcher's mitts.
Oh, yeah.
His hands were bigger than people's feet.
Wow.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah. And
he had more teeth. He had more teeth than the shark and Jaws had.
Oh, my God.
There's another story to it, but he had to get to Peoria one.
Just great.
And so he's driving with Hutchinson or John Hutchinson and I.
He's rooming with me and Bakes.
Yeah, he's rooming with Bakes and Hutch. Well, he's in bed by 9 o'clock. And he had pajamas. He looked like Hugh Hefner, except he didn't have the pipe. But he had the pajamas on, and he's in bed at 9.
He had bedroom slippers.
And so he's got to get to Peoria the next day
by 5 o'clock.
Yeah, and oh my God, and it snowed so bad, and so he knocks on our door. I'm rooming with Kachi, and he knocks on our door at 8 o'clock in the morning. He wants to go, and I said, "Well, no, we can't go, because we were waiting for a Hutch for some reason. I can't remember what the hell the deal was, but anyway, waiting for a Hutch. So anyway, I said, why don't you go down to Coco's?"
I couldn't think of the name of that place. Coco's.
And have breakfast. We were at a red roof, and the red roof sat on this hill. So there was like the driveway of the red roof, then this hill, and then there was a shopping center, and then Coco's was a little ways away across the street.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, he said, listen, go to Coco's, grab a cup of coffee, and by the time you get back, Hutch will be here, we'll be ready to go, right? So anyway, so it's an hour. So anyway, now there's a knock on our door again, and we know damn well it's Larry, right? And so I go to Kachi and I are still, we're still in bed. I open the door. Here's Larry. What do you? And his teeth are all, they're all mangled, and he can hardly talk. And he's like, hey, what the hell do you guys? So he wants to get going. I said, listen, I haven't back yet. Go right. He said, I just came from Coco's. I said, why don't you go have breakfast? And I said, by the time you get back, right? So anyway, we closed the door. Yeah, okay, right. Anyway, so like it's 15 minutes later, all of a sudden there's a knock on the door again. And Kachi says, that can't be Larry again. And I said, well, he just went to we opened the door. He's covered with snow from head to toe. And he's got a park on. He looks like Kenny from South Park. And all you can see is his eyes, snow from head to toe. And I looked at him like, what the hell's wrong with you? He goes, I fell down the hill. And oh my God! So then we finally get going. We get to Peoria. Hutch and I go in, and we're gonna eat. We're gonna grab something to eat.
Now you're missing a point. When you left the lot, the Red Roof, and you said to Koch, "Are you hungry? We didn't eat yet."
Oh yeah, that's right.
And so they're gonna go to Coco's, and Larry's in the back. No. They're gonna think I'm casing the place. I've been here so many times. They went into Coco's and he stayed in the car.
We take off. We get to Peoria, and we're going to the restaurant. So it's me, Hutch, and Larry, and John Madden is sitting at the counter. Remember that Hutch? He's sitting at the counter.
Yep.
John Madden.
Yes.
John Madden.
Yes.
NFL.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
So we're sitting there, and like Hutch and I, we'd go up and talk to anybody. We didn't give a shit, So anyway, so we said to Larry, here, we gave him the money, and we said, here, you pay the bill. We're gonna go up and talk to John Madden. So Hutch and I get up, and we're about halfway to the counter, and we hear this boom, 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 and we're like, what the hell? We look around, and there's no Larry. And all of a sudden, we see these big catcher's mitts come out from underneath the table. And there's one on the table. This one's on the table. And then all it is his head. And his head was big. He looks like Stewie. He looked like Stewie on Family Guy, except the head was like 180 degrees. Anyway, so he's there. And he looks at us and he goes, oh, I fell down. And John Madden's looking like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? But no, yeah, it's just.
But every time he came back and knocked on the door, Charlie told me Kachi was snoring.
Yeah.
He was asleep. So the first time he came back, he said, like, go down there. He says, John's just going into the bathroom. Comes back an hour, and every time, if Larry could hear, all he could hear was over here. Finally, at the end, the last time before they left, the next time. He came back and he said, Charlie goes, he's just tying his shoes or something like that. And then he goes, he's not going to talk to us. He had to get to the pro shop because he had to get balls drilled. And Larry wasn't strong enough. Remember, he tried to pull the thing down. The guy in the pro shop was going to drill him.
Yeah. So
he won't go over to bowling alley with us because it's after 5 o'clock. We went to eat. I'm not going, you guys anymore. So anyway, and we're just as compassionate as ever. Who cares if you go with us? You get that, so we get over, and I don't know how many minutes later we're at the bowling alley, and next thing you know, a half hour later, so here he's walking around, and he had toothpicks. He was always with toothpicks, right? And Charlie goes over and said to him, he looks down at him because Charlie's 6'6". He said, how'd you get here? And he said, I got a ride over with my new best friend, Mark Roth. And we look at each other, Mark Roth. Yeah. So I see Mark, we see him over in the corner, and I go over, I said, what are you doing giving Larry Matthews a ride? He said, what do you mean give him a ride? He jumped on the hood. He said he wanted to ride over, right? So anyway, Mark says, I'm leaving, don't tell him. And he leaves. So pretty soon he's walking around, Larry's walking around looking for a ride back. Guess what? His ride ain't there. Comes up to me and Charlie. Hey, you guys give me a ride home. And Charlie looks down. I never see Charlie. He's just turned around. He like touched the cigarette. And he go like this. Why don't you get a ride back off your new best friend, Mark Roth? He's like, that's right. And Larry goes, F him, he left. He's no effing good. Oh God, what a guy he was. How about when we'd be eating and he'd be telling the jokes and me and Charlie and John Koch used to take turns telling the punchline. We let him tell the whole joke. And remember, he'd sit down with a napkin, and he'd have a large white milk, 3 eggs.
2 large white milk.
2 large white and eggs. Oh, calcium, I need calcium. God love him. I need calcium. When he died, I think I called Barbara's wife and he, oh boy, what a character. What a character.
I bet. Did you guys have anybody on tour that you beat up a lot or beat you up a lot on the lanes?
Beat us up? What are you talking about?
Like, I don't mean like beat
matches, you mean?
Like have your number, like you beat a lot.
Yeah,
in match play or
Sutar and mine.
Okay.
I probably bowled Sutar 20, 30 times in finals. I think I beat him twice.
So he beat you up a lot. Who's that?
Joe Berardi.
Joe Berardi. Okay. That he beat you a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bobby Knipple had mine too. I finally beat him. I don't know. He must have beat me the first 12, 13. Finally, when I finally beat him, I won a couple more times. But I mean, I couldn't. No matter how good I bowled, he bowled better. No matter how bad he bowled, I bowled worse.
Right.
Yeah. The best record I had was against Marshall Coleman.
Okay.
I beat him like a drum. It was unbelievable.
Okay.
And I tell him that. Marshall, you know, over the course of the year, he doesn't pay any attention.
No.
I didn't give a shit. Yeah.
No, he would make it.
I'm sitting there strutting my stuff. I got my chin up in the air. You know, Bob. He's like, I give a fuck. You know?
Yeah, Marshall was making shows, and you were beating him in the match play. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a guy say to me, "Did you ever bowl Earl Anthony?" Yeah. Did you ever beat him? Yeah. I said, but there's a little difference. Match play, like the top 24, is like a little skirmish.
Right.
Yeah.
I said the show's the battles, and then the war is, who wins the war, right? I said, I beat Earl a lot of times, and he beat me. And I said, but I made 15 shows. He made 100, 140. I don't know, 150.
No.
I said, I mean, like Mark Baker said to me one time. He said, Hutch, he said, we never got to beat a guy. Bowler of the year, we never got to beat a guy. But and you too, Charlie, and you're in this group too. He says, but the guy knew who we were. Earl knew us. Yeah. Mark knew us. Marshall knew us. And they respected our ability. And I said to Mark, I said, one time I said, I still got some bruises on the cheeks of my ass from those guys, kicking my ass. I said, but I tell you what, I bet you in their closet they got some pants where there's some from scuff marks from my shoes. I beat them too. Mark, I had a bowl Mark with regionals. I had a bowl Mark close to 100 times.
Wow.
And we were probably 50-50 that's flattering myself. Let's say he was ahead of me maybe 60-40. But I mean, we had 259 tie, 257 tie. I mean, it was amazing. I got along great with him. Yeah. And boy.
Yeah, like Marshall, I beat him 3 times on Friday when I won, or twice on Friday, and once on Saturday in St. Louis when I won the tournament.
Yeah, Tropicana, right?
Yeah, I beat him in match play. I beat him in a position round. Then I beat him on the show for the title. Now you know why all his hair fell out and he retired and he's playing golf now.
Oh, good for him. I'll see him in a couple of weeks, actually.
Marshall's a great guy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So number 10 was about the Earl Anthony thing, but we talked about that. So let me ask you this. When did you guys leave the tour and why?
Well, I left because I couldn't keep up with what the guys were doing. When the resin came out and all that stuff.
So you were bowling up in the
probably like a real early 90s. 91 I had a really good year. And then that after that I couldn't keep up.
With Derek,
everything.
With every surgery, I lost a little bit and I didn't know it. My first surgery I had when I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. My last surgery I was in my late 30s. Late 30s don't sound like it's that old, but when you're playing against people 15, 16 years younger than you, and the game is going to where speed is important. Mm-hmm. I never threw the ball fast. When you learned how to bowl with 89 hardness or 88 hardness rubber balls, nobody threw the ball 20 miles an hour for a strike that was a good bowler. Mm-hmm. You had to give the ball a chance to pick up. So I threw the ball pretty good. I could hook the ball pretty good. I mean, not crazy like the guys today, but I could hook the ball. You had to be slow. You had to time, and you actually had to hit the ball almost on the upswing because the fingers. These balls you hit them on the up, it's fatal because the ball goes down and checks real hard. But anyway, hope springs eternal. I got the operation on the hand, and that was early, and I won 3 times after that. But then the shoulder, I made a couple finals, made a couple shows, But then the elbow, I made some finals. My highest finish was a 10th.
Yeah.
I cash out there, and I knew it was time to go.
Yep.
I drove to California by myself. We were bowling in Gable House.
Oh.
I checked into the hotel room, and when I moved into the hotel room, Charlie could tell you this, he was the same way. We used to make it like it was our house. We'd hang everything up, put everything in drawers. We didn't live out of suitcases. There wasn't shit all over the floor like people. You walked into a room. Holy Christ! How did the tornado get in the door? But we kept it nice.
Yeah.
And I laid down in the bed and I looked at the ceiling, and I for the first time in all the years, I said to myself, 10 more weeks before I'm home.
Mm-hmm.
I should have packed up and left and went home then, because all I would say when I was at home was 10 more weeks before I go on the road. When that flip flopped, it was time to stay home.
Yep.
It was time to stay home. You know, but can you do it again? Can you? Nah. And when I think back, Charlie, when you think back the games we bowled, I mean, make the finals in Alameda, drive 12 or 1,500 miles to Dallas, bowl an extra pro-am, bowl a practice session, all of it, bowl the pro-am, bowl 18 games, make the finals, don't make the show, let's say, get in the car and drive to Florida and do it again.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be in your 20s or early 30s.
Yeah.
Either that or you don't have a life.
Right.
Them guys that bowled 300-400 tournaments in a row, they've got to be out of their minds. I burned out a couple times there where I had to come home. I just had to come home and take a break. You know, and I never thought that would happen.
That Vegas to Dallas trip, you and I made that I don't know how many times.
Yeah. And me and Bakes made it a bunch of times. Yeah, it was terrible.
Super Bowl weekend, we'd get to Dallas and we'd miss the Super Bowl because we'd get there, we were so damn tired. And we drove us straight through a couple of times.
Yes.
To try to watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we wanted to get there to watch the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was time, and it's you just you can't stop the clock, and Derek, it's just one of those things. It's youth must be served. Youth must be served. A lot of people, when they have it, they don't realize what they have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I think Charlie will agree with me, even him. I think I'm a better bowler now than I was then, from the eyebrows up. But physically, then I could throw it. I could really throw it.
Yeah.
I did the old saying, if I could go back now and do it over, I'd have a lot more wins, and I know Charlie would too.
Yeah.
I mean, it just what are you gonna say?
Yeah, I'm going through the same thing with the senior tour now. I mean, I had like the last 2 years, I missed a check one week in the last 2 years. Now all of a sudden, it's almost starting to feel like that again. You know, I dropped down to 14 pounds and I'm trying some stuff. But if I don't do anything this coming season or whatever, I mean, that's probably going to be done.
Ernie told me he quit bowling. He's bowling again, I think, but he quit for a while. You know why? I said, why? He said, Joe, I told myself, when I get to the point when I'm a donor at the tournament, when I walk in and nobody's concerned that I'm there, it's time not to bowl. Like there's a tournament tomorrow at a bowling center, not far from here. And I don't know how many people say to me, blah, blah, blah. I said, I have no business there.
Yeah.
74, and there's kids in that tournament, they're in their 20s, to throw the ball like what you have to throw it, 17 and a half, 18 and a half. On a good day, I'm 15 off my hand. That's nothing. That's flat 10 territory. These kids are throwing pins back and forth twice across the lanes.
Right.
And I don't have any problem with it there. Sure. I don't have any kind of ego. I don't go in and say, well, that's horseshit. Right. It's past history. It's past history. I'm watching kids now that are terrific. Like guys that were older watched me, or the guys in St. Paul watched Charlie when he was coming up. All of a sudden, you look, they look, I don't know how good he is, but record speaks. We did okay. Yeah. Charlie and I did okay. As a matter of fact, I don't know how many years ago, I'm sitting at the camp with Mark Baker, and we're up in the room, we're doing the pamphlets for the next day, the catalogs. And we got a break, we're sitting around, and I had the PBA. Mark had one of the PBA books, and I looked. Now, this is a while ago, Charlie. With my 4 wins, only at that time, Only 78 PBA bowlers in history had won more than me. And I saw myself as an underachiever. Mark and I have 4 titles. Now, since then, it's probably 150 guys have won more, but that number's only going to go up. But the thing is this. When you think that there's been, hands down, 25,000 members for the PBA?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
25,000 members, and only 78 members won more than me. And I'm not bragging because I didn't win a lot, but because I always look at Parker and Norm, they won 40.
Mm-hmm.
And I won 4. And you don't realize the guys that never won who would, I can't tell you what they give to win one tournament.
Right.
God bless, like Kelly Kaufman, good bowler.
Yep.
Oh,
Second 6 times. Second
Richard
6 times. I know he'd give up the other 5 to win 1.
Yeah.
And Kelly was terrific. It just didn't happen. When he bowled a good game, somebody bowled better. When he struggled, the guy wouldn't struggle as much. And Kelly was a sweetheart. And boy, talk about a strike ball. Long before guys bowled thumbless, he was amazing. Yeah. He was absolutely amazing.
Oh, I remember.
I got in touch with him. He's
New Orleans. Oh man,
he's going to be on someday. I got in touch with him. So
Kelly's going to be on.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Oh, he was, and he was funny. He was a character. And guess what? As much as he hooked it, and Charlie will tell you, he was accurate as hell.
Yeah.
I seen him practice in Wichita one time with a plastic ball.
Yep.
And the house we bowled in Wichita. If you remember, Charlie, you threw the ball, you'd see the track on the lane.
Yeah.
I was watching him. He was throwing the ball right in the first arrow. I didn't see 3 marks on 6, and I didn't see 3 marks on 4.
Right.
They were on 5. Well, he was accurate. Here's a good one for you. I can't mention the guy's name because he's probably still alive, and I don't want to talk down on anybody. Me and Charlie are sitting in the paddock. The guy comes in. His first name is Randy, and his last name begins with a C. I'll tell you, Charlie, when we go off the air. And anyway, you'll remember this. And we said to him, how'd you bowl? And he's 170, let's say 175 over. Wow. Because the scores weren't that high. And the guy never won. He never made a show. But I remember never made a show. I know he didn't win. And Charlie, you said to him, well, where'd you play him? You may remember this once I tell you this. He goes, 7. And you went, what? He said, 7. And you said to him, well, what happened if he hit 6? He said, that's the washout. What happened if he hit 8? Is he going away Brooklyn? And Charlie, you looked at him and you went with that, what? And I stood up and I went like this, call the Romans because he's back. Have the cross and the nails. I said, the Jewish people are going to reset their calendar. He actually thought he hit 7 the whole time. And you'll remember the guy when I tell you his name, right? I mean, it was incredible what he saw. And I mean, you bowl with guys like that. Oh, Dave Davis just died not long ago. One of the best.
Yeah. We're
bowling Sterling Heights. Before you were out, Charlie, me and Bakes are watching the squad. There's 40 lanes, double-sided house, 20 each. I think Davis was on 39. If he wasn't on 39, he was on 19. It was second last pair to the right. There's a guy bowling next to him, and if I can't remember his name, he's throwing at the 10 pin on lane, let's say 28. So Dave, the system, when you get up, you get up. So someone from Dave's pair had gone, and he got up to throw the ball. And the ball sticks on his thumb, up in the air. Now, between the odd lane and even lane, there's the narrow, between the, 28, 28 and 29, 18 and 19, 19 and 20, whatever it is, 18 and 19. There's the narrow strip, and then there's the wide strip. This hits on the narrow strip, bounces on Davis's lane, and goes into Davis's pocket and strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Dave Davis is he's in his address position. Nobody is laughing. The guy's at the foul line holding his thumb, and he's bent over. Davis turns around, and he falls to his knees and starts to laugh. The whole side of the house broke out in laughter. Me and Tommy were hysterical. So they got to call Gusto. Goose comes down, what happened? And you see Davis point, and you can see him with the hand like, and he goes like this. And so Goose goes, well, it's a miss over here, and you got to, whatever. And Davis goes, wait a minute. I was up on lane 29 or 39 and a strike registered. How come I can't get that? And Goose, with the finger, he goes like this, Dave, I'm having a bad day. Don't start. And he walks away. And we knew the guy. If I told you about the guy, you would know him. If I said his name, he was a young guy in his 20s, and he bowled a couple more tournaments. But I never forget that. Matter of fact, I think you were there, Charlie. You might have been. And no one was laughing. And Davis turns around, he falls on his knees, hysterical, and it changed.
Was that at Friendly Arc Sterling and Sterling Heights?
Pardon?
Was the bowling alley Friendly Arc Sterling and Sterling Heights? Michigan?
Sterling Heights, the crowds were phenomenal. You could get a seat for the practice session.
Sunnybrook.
Okay.
Sunnybrook. Oh, well, that was in Sterling Heights.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Sunnybrook. Yeah. The day of the show that it was going on at 3:30, the people were outside at 7 a.m. It was. It wasn't bad. It was below zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was you guys' favorite tour stop?
I always liked Vegas. I had good success in Vegas.
Charlie?
Yeah.
I
like Toledo. That was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Milwaukee was always fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had good success at Firestone. I think I missed the finals one time that I bowled there, the top 24, and I was alternate.
Yeah.
I just had a good look there. Not as good as Durban, but I had a good.
Least favorite tour stop?
Me, Toledo. Never matched up. Couldn't get the ball in the track at the right time. I was left at Charlie, and I couldn't get. Charlie was. The ball had to be off your hand like 10 to 10, 11 to 10. I couldn't throw it that straight and still get something on it. Charlie could.
Mm-hmm.
Roy Buckley made a lot of shows. Burton made a lot of shows. Norm Myers made a lot of shows. Weber made a lot of shows. As a matter of fact, the lefties for years boycotted the tournament. Remember?
Yeah.
The lefties boycotted the house.
Was that at Imperial?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Charlie,
Not there anymore. Go on.
No.
No.
Southwick is there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Southwick, I think.
I think that's where Janello bowls.
Yeah.
I think Don bowls at Southwick. Yeah.
Yep.
When
I coached college, we bowled there.
Yeah, I tell you, the things you saw, like there was a guy years ago on the early tour, and Barry could tell you his name, and just to see like there was, crazy guys. This guy goes, strike solid 10, strike solid 10, strike solid 10, strike solid 10, strike. Comes up in the 10th frame. It's a long time ago, before I bowled, and he lined up to throw a strike. At the point of release, he air-mailed the ball and picked the 10-pin off clean. He's standing at the foul line screaming at the top of his lungs, I got you. He's cursing, he's out of his mind. Mm-hmm. Jerry Hale's his name. He's going nuts. He throws the ball, makes the spare. Throws the field ball, solid 10. 199. 199. The guy said and Jerry won a tournament. He's a great bowler. Dennis Jakes. We have been talking to Charlie earlier about Dennis Jakes.
Yeah.
He's bowling Tucson, and I was staying at the Ghost Ranch right across the street. Nice motel. Walk right over. I come over. Dennis was one of the guys on tour at the time that had bowled 300 right-handed and left-handed. Now I don't know how easy the lanes had to be lefty for him to bowl 300, or if the pins were bunched together, they were froze. But he bowled halfway decent. Mark Williams bowled good lefty. Danny Wiseman bowled good lefty. There were a bunch of guys. Roth bowled great lefty. I could tell you that story too, about in Cleveland. But anyway, there's a bunch of guys sitting there, probably as old as I am now, or Charlie is. And Dennis is right here. And Pete Thomas ran a great tournament, and they're all having coffee. And they throw 8 practice balls, 4 in each lane. And Dennis starts strike. Next shot, he leaves the 2-8-10. Yeah. No, double, 2-8-10. And so I say loud enough that he could hear me. I said, he might make this because he could bowl left-handed. The pros, you could switch hands, Derek.
Okay.
You knew that, right? He goes,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, he's bowled 300 lefty. He hears me. I know he does. And I'm going, don't be surprised if he throws it left-handed. He picks it up lefty, the gutter at the Arrows. He's got 51 in the third. Okay. Now he goes double, 2, 4, 8, 10. And I look at the guys, and because I'm no good, I went like this. Remember that one shot before? Yeah. He learned something on that shot. This is easier than the other one. He's got a chance to throw a couple more pins over. I know he's going for a left-handed. He goes up, throws it. Well, this one got about 5 feet past the Arrows in the gutter, right? So he's got 51, 77, 93. He's got 99 in the sixth with 2 doubles. Seventh frame, he marks. He opens in the eighth. He opens in the seventh, double in the eighth and ninth. He's got 3 doubles. He can still get 190 out of this game. He Greek churches in the 10th.
Oh man.
Tries to make it, and he just ticks the 10 pin going off. I think he wound up for 159 with 3 doubles and a spare. So I go down, and when he's done, he's putting his balls in the thing, and he's banging the balls. And I come over with the coffee, and I'm stirring, and I'm like this, where are we going next pair, bud? He goes, get the fuck out of here.
he passed away.
Dennis just passed, Derek.
Yeah.
And I just passed. And I was telling Charlie the story today. We bowled a tournament up in Mohawk Lanes. Mo Pinnell, who passed away, great guy.
Yeah.
Dennis was there the 1 year, and I'm staying in this motel, and it's freezing cold. It's below 0 out. And there's a knock on the door, and it's 12 o'clock. I said, midnight. And I go, who is it? And I hear, Dennis. Well, Dennis who? He goes, Dennis Jakes. I go, oh, Dennis. Like he said it wrong, right? Take the lock off the door, and he comes in. He's freezing. Sits down. I said, what's up? I said, I just thought I'd come over and invite you to my wedding. Your wedding? You're getting married? He goes, yeah. I go like this. To who? I mean, I'm seeing him 30 weeks a year. To who? Who are you getting married to? And he tells me, and I'm not going to say any names, to this beautiful, beautiful girl. I said, well, I haven't seen you with her. Oh, no. We're keeping in touch with phone calls and writing letters. Yeah, okay. He says, when I get some time off, I go out to her town, or she comes out to my place, and blah, blah, blah. And, so I said, Dennis, I don't know if I can make it, because where she lived was about 600-700 miles from my house. I said, I don't know if I can. If I'm in the neighborhood. And he's walking out the door, and I'll never forget, he turns around, and he looks at me. He goes, I said, you're sure you're getting married? He says, yeah. He said, never been married before. I figured I'll try it. How bad can it be? A couple years later, he was divorced. And I said to his father at the one tournament one time, I said, how'd that divorce go? He says to me, Hutch, I told him don't get married. You got to spend some time together, real time, and blah, blah, blah. And Dennis was sure he was crazy about her and everything. She was a beautiful, beautiful girl. And he said to me, it was a rather expensive venture for him, the divorce settlement. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that Dennis got married again later and had a son or a daughter. I don't remember where the girl in New York, but Dennis was a character.
Yeah.
Dennis was a character, and he won 3 times, and boy, big strike ball.
Yeah. I've seen him a couple times. My family would call him Jacques because his last name is Dennis Jacques, right? Jake.
Wait, that's what we used to call him. Jacques. We used to call him Jacques.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all. Him. He's gone. Alan Bishop's gone. So many greats have gone, man. I tell you.
And Dennis. When Davis died, he was. But Dave got the 80.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got the 80 or 79. That's, honest to God, because I'm almost there and Charlie's in the 70. That's not bad. If you told me when I was Charlie, did you ever think you'd get this far?
No.
Me either.
No.
Can't get
Everybody
this
in my family nobody made it to 60.
How about you're in high school, you're in 9th grade, the English teacher who was due for retirement gives you an assignment over the weekend. You don't think you don't have to do it because she might be dead by Monday. And she come in and she comes in, you go like this, damn, I didn't do that work. I didn't think she'd be here. Now I'm here older than that lady was.
Yeah.
I'm 9 years older than her. And I get up every morning and I come down here. You can't see behind me, but I got exercise stuff behind me. I got a little gym I come down and do my 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes here twice a day. That's what I do. Do I do it as fast or as I did before? No, but you try your best, right?
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
trying to cheat the clock. Just trying to cheat the clock a couple minutes, because you never know what you're going to see. You never know who you're going to meet or what's going to happen to you. It might be good, might be bad. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's I never thought in my life that I would say, I wish I threw the ball again like I did when I was 50. Because when I saw the way I threw it when I was 50 compared to when you're 30.
Right.
And now it's 74.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm having a bad day, if I'm at the foul line and you're bowling next to me, you would hear me sometimes saying like this, who the hell threw that ball?
Yeah.
I don't even know whose it is going down. I'm like, my God. And then all of a sudden, 2 frames later, and I'll throw and I'll go, that's better.
Yeah.
It comes and goes so fast.
Yeah, it does.
When you look
So
back
fast.
at your, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
When you look back at your careers, are you satisfied? I know, Joe, I know you only won 4 times. And I mean, it could have been 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. But Charlie, you won 3 times?
Yeah.
When you look back at your careers, are you satisfied? Or do you have any regrets about your career on tour?
Well, I mean, there's obviously stuff that you could do different.
Sure.
Mean, that of course, it's all hindsight, but yeah, I mean, if you'd have told me when I got in that stupid ass motorhome that I was gonna make a career out of this off of 3 titles and a couple senior titles, and it's like, yeah, I mean, this is like Hutch said earlier. I wouldn't change anything. I mean, yeah, I wanted to win more, and there was opportunities that we all let slip by, and but no, I'll tell you, it's beyond my expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in a way, it's beyond my expectations. If you would have told me that when I was a little boy watching that, that this is how it was going to end up, and that you would make a living, and you didn't have to go to a job in a factory and all this shit like that. And this is what you were going to do. I mean, how many people can do this for? Well, shit. Now it's 40 years, 45 years.
Yeah.
What about you, Joe? You good?
Well, like I said, I see myself as an underachiever because I thought I would do more. But the more I look back, and when I look at every once in a while, I take an old program out and I look at the guys that were retired that didn't win more than me, that won 4 or less, and I know how good they were. And then I think of the guys who I look through the bios in the back, and I see guys that I remember being on tour full time with, who never won. I say to myself, I guess I didn't do too bad.
Good for you.
It takes when you're talking to someone who has Marshall gave me some compliment. I talk to Marshall on the phone once in a while, text him all the time, but
sure.
Marshall gave me some nice words and about the. It's amazing. Johnny Petraglia is just a great guy, and a couple slipped through my fingers. A couple, 2 were bad breaks, 2 were stupidity on my part. But it's too late now. But you got to live with you got to live with what you got. And I know there's a lot of bowlers that have more than me and Charlie. But for every bowler that has more than me and Charlie, and I mean this sincerely, there's 100 bowlers that have less than us. Minimum of 100. Is that Marlis behind you?
Yeah. Say hi. Say hi.
Hi.
Marlis, tweet him.
Thanks for letting me talk to him for a few hours.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Everybody's good. Everybody's good, Marlis.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Can't complain.
Oh, good.
She can't hear me, can she?
Oh, wait a minute.
She can't hear me, can she?
Now she can hear you. Go ahead.
Marlis,
Yes.
I didn't know if you could hear me or not. I'm glad to see it. Glad everything's going good. You're as beautiful as ever.
Oh well, gosh, thank you,
Mm.
Joe.
Yeah, he did. He did okay.
You
You
make
did
my
okay.
husband laugh. You make him
He did
laugh
okay.
so much. It's unbelievable.
Well, now look. I don't want to be talking about when he has his clothes off, but it's just we Charlie and I were there. Charlie and I just hit it off perfect.
Good.
We hit it off.
Let you go.
We both have the same peculiar sense of humor. The only thing probably that I can think of that he likes that I don't
Mhm.
is he liked Letterman and I hated him.
Oh, I love Letterman.
David
Oh, yeah.
Letterman.
In other words, we're sitting watching television one night
Yep.
in the room, and Charlie says to me, Hutch, put Letterman on. I put him on, and he's hysterically laughing.
Mhm.
And I turned around, I looked at him, I said, what are you laughing at? Letterman's humor, I never thought it was funny.
I think it's top.
But like the Three Stooges and a lot of other, we understand that was okay. But that humor like he had, I never quite got. Him and David Brenner and a couple guys. There was a couple comedians I never laughed at. Then there was a couple comedians that you could pee your pants watching. But it was amazing. But that was probably the only thing I think the youth saw funny that I didn't.
Yeah. That's yeah.
I think it was about the only, because here, Mark Fay just passed away a couple of years ago, right?
Mark Fahey.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know Mark?
Oh, why do I feel like he's a bowler?
He won two tours. Big guy,
Yeah,
tough
yeah,
guy,
I know the
good
name.
guy.
Yeah.
Me and Charlie come back from the tournament one night, and him and Pete Weber out back swimming. They're coming down the slide, and there's no water on it. And Pete's coming down chest first. He has no hairs on his chest, and he's squeaking coming down. Right? They're both a little bit. They're feeling pretty good. Let's just say this: I saw them handing a case of beer over to each other. I didn't see a baby hand at that gentle in a nursery, so they put it over, right? And so Mark comes over with the can of Bud, and he goes like this, don't worry, I'll get it. He comes down in the beer ring. So Mark goes in, and he had this heater on him. He had this stomach on him. And he comes up, and the pants were in the front, were up just under the belly button. Pants in the back, I wouldn't say, San Andreas Fault's a pretty big crack, but this was close. But anyway, he came up, and his hair was sticking straight out. Maybe if you see me like this. I said to Charlie, that looks like the deck on the Nimitz where the jets take off of, right? So we start calling him the Admiral. And nobody knew why, but he'd go by us, and we'd be, can't shut, make a hole, all these naval sayings. And he just bit into it. He never knew what we meant. He said, and then Charlie says to me one day, you were bowling the senior tournament, and he said to me, Joe, I turned around, guess who was there? And he didn't tell me Mark Fay. He said, the Admiral was there. I said to him, was his hair combed? I told him, Jesus Christ. I don't know,
man.
It's so funny that all this shit that we did and all this stuff all these years ago. I mean, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I was out in Vegas or something, and this guy comes up to me and he goes, hey, he said, do you remember me? And I said, no. He goes, it's Noodles. And I said, Noodles? I said, Noodles? What do you mean Noodles? He goes, yeah. He goes, you guys used to call me Noodles. And I said, we did? And he goes, yeah, and it was Alex Romanoff.
Oh, God, yeah.
And I go, holy Christ, because we call it because of Noodles Romanoff.
Yeah, Noodles Romanoff, yes. Oh, my God.
He still remembers that. And it's almost 40 years ago. Well, it's years ago.
Yeah, then there was the mayor of La Puente.
I'll remember this night 40 years from now.
Oh, yeah. Alex Cortez.
Oh. They were bowling. They're bowling in Buffalo, and Charlie and Alex are crossing together, and something happened. Something happened. Go ahead, tell them about what goes. Tell them that.
That three-way?
So it's miserable in the place. It's hotter than hell. No air conditioning. It's like 90 degrees outside, and it's just miserable. So so anyway, a pin gets stuck in the gutter, and they had the old phones that were on the settee. So he's calling in, and he goes, The ball stuck on 27, pin in the gutter on 28, and then I tell him, "Hey, Alex, run a cigarettes. Get a pack of Marlboros." He goes, pin in the gutter on 27, ball on 28, and a pack of Marlboro Reds. so he hangs up
Priorities, huh?
he hangs up the phone, and Harry Golden is in a dead sprint. And he comes up to the pit, and he is so pissed off. He goes, "Who the hell ordered a pack of cigarettes?" And I point at Alex. He goes, "What are you doing? This is just for ball returns and all this other shit, and he's all pissed off anyway." So he starts walking away, and I go, "Alex, did he bring the smokes?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Hey, Goose." He goes, "What?" He goes, "Did you bring the cigarettes?"
Oh my God.
Oh, God damn, was he mad? Oh, shit.
Hey guys, where did the PBA never go that you wish they did?
Oh,
Well, it'd have to do with money.
No, of course.
No, not being a smart guy, but I think the PBA missed the boat when they could have made a bowling ball and had the PBA logo on it, because at one time, I think even today, I shouldn't say at one time, even today, PBA is the main reason I think the bowling balls sell. If the PBA went down, there'd be nobody need any manufacturer. The manufacturer would make any bowling balls. Traglia told me that years ago. If PBA goes down, who cares about this ball at Apple? Because they're not seeing the best guys through it.
Right.
And they had a chance at one time to put a PBA. But this is when Derek, is using rubber balls.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody everybody that joined the PBA, you have to throw this ball. But the playing field was dead even. It was a pancake block.
Yeah.
Right, and it was just a rubber ball, and put a PBA logo on it, and then license it out to be sold, like Black U Dot sold, or Don Johnson sold Caramel White Dots, or Mark Roth sold the yellow dot, or Earl Anthony sold that orange ball, or Johnny Petraglia sold the LT48, and all these balls that sold up, PBA could have had their ball, strictly used by the pros. I think it might have changed things tremendously, but we missed the boat too with advertising.
Yeah.
The money was mishandled. Derek, you know the story about the lawsuit?
Hold on. Oh.
You know the story about the lawsuit?
What year?
What year, Charlie? 81.
Oh, what was
Nope.
it? 80, 81? No, that was a little later than that.
Yeah, if we call Lyle Sykes, he'll know.
Yeah,
Let me
80,
start
85, 86 or somewhere in there.
When I was
Yeah,
talking,
we have a meeting
okay.
in Earl's house in Dublin.
Okay.
And we talked about forming a union, like the PGA when they broke away from the USGA and formed. Steve Wunderlich and Kyle Shedd chaired the meeting, and there had to be 100 guys. And from that, it goes into pass a petition around. We have 105 names, 110 names, and we're going to get a lot. And we're going to sue the PBA for the right to. I mean, we're independent contractors to market ourselves. And anyway, when it goes to trial, it did go to trial. I think 8 guys, 9, 7.
Yeah.
How many guys? Me, you, Mark Baker, Pete Couture, Gil Sliker, Jeff Bellinger.
Houston.
Who?
Dave Houston.
No, he was off. Columbia told him to go off. Told him to go off, yeah. Randy Peterson.
Wow. Okay.
Anyway, Voss, they were told by the bowling companies to go off, because if we win the lawsuit, then they win too. But if we lose the lawsuit, their name's not on it. And if you remember, the PBA was calling guys homes.
Yeah.
And talking to people. And we know this for a fact.
Yeah.
They were talking to the wives of the bowlers. Do you know your husband is, if you lose, you're going to lose your home and everything. Anyway, it goes to trial. And they call witnesses and we call witnesses. And before it went to trial in Seattle, we had a mole in the office. And Joe Antonora, who I like, Joe. I mean, he's the commissioner and he did his job. He emptied the general fund on this lawsuit, well over $1 million. Trying, and the guy, I'm not going to say his name, and you know who he is, Trey, but the guy in the office said that Joe was constantly walking around saying, "I'm not going to be beaten by a bunch of uneducated bowlers." That's the God's honest truth. That's what he was saying. The guy told us, right? So I got a copy of the lawsuit. It's about an inch thick. There's going to be some guys that are going to think I'm lying. I'm not lying. I take it down to a friend of mine named Judge Edwin Kozik, who recently passed away. He was on the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court. He's a brilliant lawyer, brilliant judge. And I explained to him, I said, Edwin, can you please look at this? I'm on this lawsuit. Should I stay on it or not? He calls his staff in. I give him a copy of the Constitution and bylaws, Charlie, and the rule book, right? About 4 days later, his secretary calls me. She says, Mr. Hutchinson, Judge Kozik would like to see you. I come down in the office. He's sitting at his desk. He throws the lawsuit to me. It was stapled. He throws it like this and it lands. He says to me, stay out of it until the end. You can't lose. He said, the PBA is in direct violation of the antitrust laws of the United States of America. I said, but Edwin, all the big guys aren't on. I've only won twice at the time or 3 times. I said, my name isn't as, he said, if you just joined the PBA and you read this and you saw these infractions, this comes up in a court of law. The court don't care how many titles you won, Joe. They're breaking the law. And so we won the right to represent ourselves in between tournaments. We didn't have to call for permission to bowl tournaments. We didn't have to, if we didn't call for permission to win a tournament, the fine was the amount you won plus $100. Had to call it. I mean, if there was a tournament within 500 miles of your house for $1,000 first place, and there was a tournament next door to my house for $10,000, I had to call them to bowl for permission to bowl that. And if they said no, I couldn't bowl that. I had to drive 500 miles. And when the PBA brought that up, the guy says it's only a club. I mean, you signed a membership card. There's no constitutional law. But when the guy read the rule book, the Constitution and bylaws, it was restraint of trade. And that's a big, big thing. Edwin said to me, stay on it as long as you can. And he even told me what would happen. Gary Mage, I believe, but I know Hugh Miller was up there and they were sending information back to us. He said, you're both going to call witnesses. He said, when both sides rest and the judge tells the jury to go out and deliberate, they are going to raise their hand and ask for a sidebar. May we approach the bench? And at that time, they will concede. And Hugh Miller told us that's exactly what happened. And so we won that right to do that. And I don't even know if they ever, we did a couple things. Oh, Bill Straub. God, how can we forget Bill with the remote? With the remote here. No, over here. But yeah, Billy Straub. I mean, he was on it. And the guy giving us the money was Bill Taylor.
Yeah.
And Bill Taylor went broke later on and they passed away. But anyway, but how could you forget Bill? He was the guy who was friends with Taylor. And we won this right. We did a couple things. Mark Williams was on too. Mark was on. Yeah. I think there was like 12 guys. And it was just crazy.
Whoa, what happened? What happened to Joe?
Oh, I don't know.
Hold on 1 second. Did I kick him? Oh boy. Did I kick him? Give me a minute. Sorry about that. Sorry for the delay. I mean, I know this is a long, but are you okay?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you're good.
All right. Let me see. Where's Joe? Oh.
I wonder if he knows he got kicked off.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's some crazy stuff, man. I mean, that's just wow.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that whole thing was. Yeah, it was quite a mess, and then they blamed us for them going broke. And like I said, like Joe said, they used all the money. They used all the money for the lawsuit. And there was at that time they were also starting there's Joe.
Sorry, buddy. What did I kick
No,
you?
no, I'm down to 10% power, and I don't have a charger down here, so I can be on a couple more minutes. Yeah, they emptied the general fund.
All right.
Which was illegal too. So
yeah. So let's do this. I'm gonna group this all into one. So PBA rule you agree with, PBA rule you did disagree with. What was a PBA rule or not a PBA rule that should have been?
I think the one that I just said about where they controlled you. Look, this all happened, and I'm going to mention the guy's name. It's Jeff Moran, the guy from New Jersey, Charlie, not the one from Cleveland.
He made
Jeff
the show
Moran.
in Cleveland in '93.
Pardon?
He made the show in Cleveland in '93, right?
Yes, he led it. He got beat by Ron Williams, but Jeff Moran,
Right.
he bowled a regional in Baltimore, I believe, Eastern Region. Bowled the Pro-Am, bowled all the qualifying, did not make the finals, did not cash. His commitment to the PBA is done.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday is the finals. He's driving home Sunday. He goes by a bowling center in New Jersey. They have a tournament. He stop-ins and he wins it for $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So the bowling paper in New Jersey writes about this. PBA office gets wind of it, calls me, said, you didn't call for permission.
Mm-hmm.
You owe us $1,000 plus $100.
Mm-hmm.
So he tells me this at a regional. I says, Jeff, you don't know nothing. Your commitment was they actually called him in. The two guys that called him in are both passed away. They called him in. I said, don't pay it. They can't enforce it. They can't make you pay that.
Mm-hmm.
This got to be a bluff. When I knew that we had them, and then eventually the lawsuit came up, is when they talked to him, Charlie, about 6 weeks later. You know what they said?
Mm-hmm.
Give us 500 and we'll squash it.
Yep.
I mean, okay. I told Jeff, and they never. You won't bowl anymore. You have to, your tournaments you can't bowl. You'll be on cash only. Never, nothing ever happened to them.
Yep.
They knew they were wrong, but this never happened.
Okay. Right.
You know, and I mean that to me is something that they shouldn't have had. You know, they shouldn't. The bowling PBA bowler, you're the leading money winner. The next year, you know what you start out with? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
When you bowl the PBA tour, when I was bowling the tour, I was guaranteed $25,000 a year expenses when I was bowling, right? And I with the entry fees when I started, Charlie, was $125 to bowl the tournament, right? So I was going to need about $15,000 to go the whole year, right? And I mean, if you don't come in the top, what was it, third or fourth? Top third?
Yeah.
If you don't come in the top third of the field, you get nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You get nothing. It's the same thing in golf, but the problem is in golf, if you come in 35th, you win as much as the guy who went at the time we were playing as the guy who wins the bowling tournament. And the expenses are the same. Most of the golfers stay for free.
Yeah.
I get a charge when a guy says to me, you don't have the expenses the golfers have. Their entry fee is $50, and it's given back to them from what I understand. It's a token entry fee.
Yeah.
What's the entry fee in a senior tournament now, Charlie?
$495.
$495. Why not just have a friggin' pot game? Just have 100 guys put up $500 and do an eliminator.
Well, they just had the PBA 50 Tournament of Champions, down in Florida.
Yeah.
Right? So we got done at Fort Myers. They only had 65 entries.
Yep.
So they revamped everything. So you had to get to the top 24 to make $500. All the other checks were $500. I went home.
They dropped the first place from 12 or 15,000 to ace.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. Yeah, that's
I got
terrible.
my $500 back. I would have had to be 2/3 of the field to get my money back.
So Charlie, when you're on staff, and Joe, you can chime in on this too, but do they pay for that, or do you still have to cover that?
No, we pay for everything.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, some on staff like with Radical and MyScript and Bolify and all that stuff. I mean, there's a little bit of there you go. There's a little bit of incentive money, that type of deal, and you get the equipment and the stuff. But yeah, there's no monetary value other than if you make a show and you get an incentive.
So you guys, this was the greatest thing I've probably one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life. Thank you both for doing this. Before I let you go, I want to do this thing called Going Flush in the Pocket, where it's just 12 questions. You're basically going to bowl a 300 game with your voice. I want to do this now so Joe can chime in. So it's just some fun random questions. So let's do this. What's your favorite food?
Go ahead, Chuck.
Steak.
Okay.
Italian food.
All right. So Joe, I'm going to ask you this. I'm assuming you eat a lot of pizza.
I've eaten enough pizza across the country. Yeah.
Do you think pineapple belongs on pizza?
No.
See, I do.
Well, then all the money you're spending on pineapple, send it over to the poor people in Hawaii that they had their everything burned off.
All right. What's your favorite music?
He was in a band.
Yeah.
Were you?
Charlie was in a band. He's a drummer.
Yeah.
There you go. Headbanger?
Hey, actually, Joe, I talked to the guy that I played with 45 years ago. The black guy that I told you about, his sister sang and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I talked to him. I talked to him. He makes guitars in San Diego.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, what was it? Oh, my favorite music?
Yeah.
Classic rock.
Okay. Joe?
I don't have a favorite. I have some unfavorites. I'm not much into shock rock. Can't stand that. I'm not noise. I don't like noise.
Yep.
I can listen to opera. I can listen to country.
Yep.
I have a tough time listening to rap because rap isn't singing.
No, I get you.
Don't forget Ace Cannon. It's not a party without the ace.
Right. Or Otto Behovde.
What are you guys binge watching right now?
Hardcore Pawn, about the pawn store in Detroit. That is hysterical, Charlie. I sent you the one thing. Did you see what I sent you? Did you see the guy with the coin from the Kennedy vehicle?
No. I saw was the woman.
Oh, you got to watch the whole thing. There's a guy comes on. He says to him, "I got a coin here. They found in the car that Kennedy was killed in." And the guy picks up the coin and looks at it. It's a quarter. The guy that owns the pawn shop, and he goes, less gold. And he goes like this to him. He says, "What's the date on that quarter?" And he gives the kid the quarter. The guy goes, 1989. So he says to him, "When did they start putting Lincoln's head on the?" He gives him a coin, not the penny, but something else. He goes, 1967. He said, "Who's on a penny?" Clinton. He goes, "How the hell do I know? Give me my 50,000." It's hysterical.
Oh my God.
That's what I've been binge watching.
Joe, Charlie, what about you?
I don't binge watch anything.
Oh, okay.
Not yet, anyway.
Oh, there you go. Party all night or quiet night at home?
Quiet night at home.
Me too.
Oh.
There was enough of the other ones.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Favorite toy as a child?
Taggart, where's my froggy? Did you see him?
Hey, all I'll say is that Johnny Carson said he didn't know what fun was till he learned how to make a fist.
My God. Oh my God, that's great.
Let's go to the next question.
Of course. Smartest thing you've ever done?
Stop bowling the tour.
Joe, Charlie?
Sold my drag car.
Okay. Dumbest thing you've ever done?
Sold my drag car.
No.
Dumbest thing I ever did. Oh boy, I don't know.
All right.
It could be 1980. I'm bowling the Masters.
Yep.
I got the best look on the show. I'm fifth. I got no one is striking but me in practice. Yep. This is Nelson Burton, George Pappas, Neil Burton, and Mark Roth.
Yeah.
With 2 minutes or 3 minutes to go in practice, I decided to try to tuck my pinky finger. I never bowled with a tucked pinky finger.
Yeah.
And I throw 3 strikes in a row. It let me bump in Charlie like 2 and 1. A little more room, right? For 8 frames, I have 4 strikes, 4 spares, and I can't tell you where one ball went off my hand. Coming down, I'm going to finish the match first. 9th and 10th balls are already bowled 9 frames. If I strike out, I shut him. If I get the first, if I strike a double and 10th, I shut him out. I got him in count. And I'm arguing with myself to untuck my finger. I'm arguing with myself on the bench. And there's the part of me that's saying, you got 4 strikes already, do it again. And there's the part of me saying, you're stupid. I untuck my finger and go back where I was throwing all these strikes from. Flush, I'm up in the 10th frame, and I mean, I'm not kidding you, it was a long time ago. Shred the rack and leave the 7 pin. Make the spare strike on the fill ball. Ball misses the head pin. 1, 2, 4, 8 makes the spare, beats me by count. 7, 8 pins, right? The game that I lost with was the second highest game on the tournament, on the show the whole day.
Yeah.
And so is the Masters tournament in bowling going to change my life? No. But that was dumb what I did. That was dumb. I should have never did that.
Okay.
Yeah. What I should have done when I bowled Earl, I should have changed balls when I wanted to, but I got a double. I had a double, so there was really no reason to change.
Yeah, right.
At that time, I had a rotogrip ball that was plastic that worked on lacquer, and I used that.
Oh, the blue one.
What's that?
The blue rotogrip.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, they were great.
Yeah, and I was going to do it, and I threw a double at the end of the game, and I thought, well, I'm not going to change now, And then at that point I had to hope that he didn't double. Because if I would have had a shot at him, then I would have. But anyway, he threw that tumbler to shut me out. So never had
5, 6, 10 were the last 3 pins down.
Yep.
Wow. Oh man. So, what is your bowling pet peeve?
The disrespect of the game as a sport.
Right.
And if I bowl Monday night in league here, and it's not a bad league, but it's not a scratch league. There are no scratch leagues anymore like I bowled in. But the lack of courtesy, the disrespect, the yelling, the screaming, of course, the beer, people are dry. It's not what I remember as the game is that I loved. The game that I loved. When I'm giving people, I got 2 lessons tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. I love bowling with the lessons. I love it. It's fantastic. You put me in a league and everybody's screaming and they don't know when they're up. You have to tell everybody it's your turn. It's your turn.
Right.
That never happened when I grew up. The game is, I don't know. I don't like where it is.
Yeah, mine's the same way, and to add to it is the lack of education.
Yeah.
In all facets of it, there's a lack of education. It's just I'm the same way with Joe. I mean, I've been given lessons and doing a lot of different things through a few of the pro shops around here, and and I love it. And try to teach and see some of the successes of the people that I teach and everything, but there's nowhere near enough of that, and the etiquette is terrible, absolutely terrible. And because the game's got too easy.
I definitely don't drink while I bowl.
Level anyway.
What's that?
On a league level, it's just gotten too easy.
Yeah.
So
I don't drink while I bowl. I am very intense, but no, I totally get that. What is your favorite hangout?
Favorite what?
Hangout.
South, Idlehour South. It's a bowling alley.
There you go.
Yeah, Continental Lanes, Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're dying of thirst and you just need something to drink, what's your go-to beverage?
Water.
Okay. I should drink more of that, but anyway.
Yeah, water. Yeah.
All right. I shouldn't show you the Coke and Pepsi.
A decanter of Jack Daniels.
Oh yeah.
And a carton of Marlboro.
That's right.
There you go. If you could meet any celebrity, who would it be?
I know none of them really interest me.
Okay. Charlie?
The one with the biggest jugs.
Yeah. Kay Parker.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
I tell you what, I met a Congressional Medal of Honor winner one time.
Yeah.
And you picture a Congressional Medal of Honor winner as being like a gorilla. The guy is he passed away. His name is Gino Merle. He was a magnificent man, magnificent. And he was about 5'2" or 3" and $120.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did, I think it was in the Ardennes forest, and it was World War II. What he did, it was, I'm pretty sure it was the Ardennes. It was absolutely amazing. I pictured this unbelievably robust person. And when I came in, I asked the guy, "Where's Gino Merle?" And he pointed to this little man in the middle of the people. But when I looked in his eyes, I saw something that guys like that win the Medal of Honor are like the athletes that you hear about when everything is going 100 miles an hour and everything for them is going 1 mile an hour.
Mm-hmm.
The guys that win the Medal of Honor when it's nothing but chaos around them, nothing but chaos, lead, death, everything. Every day, see everything calm. And I saw that in him. I saw that in him. And I'm down to 2% power.
Okay. So
And I'm going to be going soon.
last question. How do you guys want to be remembered? Like when you guys leave this earth, how do you want people to remember you?
As a good father.
There you go, buddy.
Just as a good guy.
You're definitely that. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for joining. I hope you had fun. Joe.
Oh, we did.
Honored.
Derek, thank you.
Yeah.
Charlie, I love you. I'll be in touch.
Yeah.
Take care.
I will be talking to Tish Johnson next week. So.
Okay, buddy. See you.
See you, buddy.
See you, Derek. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Thank you.
Have a good one, guys. So, Tish Johnson next week, 8:00. Tune in, and 8:00 Eastern time. So, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Charlie. Have a good night, everybody. That was it. That was Flush in the Pocket. That was a great podcast. And so a lot of stories, a lot of information. And tune in Saturday night, the 16th of September. We will have Tish Johnson and be talking to her about her amazing career. And till then, thank you guys. And we'll talk soon.